quickly into space. Concepcion, blockers in front, and here he goes. KC says TD.
This is 365 Sports.
Final 30 seconds of the quarter. Second down throw to the end zone. Douglas. Touchdown, Texas Tech. What a drive.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Sorsby the key. What a cut! Broken ankles! See ya!
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Another first down for Vandy. Pressure off the edge. He steps up, and now he's going to run for the end zone and score! Diego Pavia!
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Brown takes another shot. Wide open Koger. Touchdown, South Florida. 63 yards.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
It is kind of a sad day because today's the last day of the college football season, although nothing ever stops because of the transfer portal and much more. Who knows? But today the season ends for a team that wins the national championship or who doesn't. Indiana, the number one ranked team, unbeaten Hoosiers, and number 10 Miami playing in their home stadium. They are on a heater with when they've gotten into postseason. Indiana has been on a heater, it seems like, almost every single week. Good afternoon, Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina with me. I'm David Smoak. And a little bit later on, just a note about an extended part of our show that we'll do right after we do the quizzes, the polls, Paul's top five, and much more that we're going to start doing. And kind of just a test run starting tonight at around 5:30 or 5:40. The season ends tonight. Pro football is in full force with what they have going on. We'll discuss that a little bit later in the show. But any kind of thoughts on this one tonight, Paul and Craig? Miami and Indiana. Right now, Indiana's a favorite by more than a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see if Miami can end this string of Indiana blowouts. Even if they lose, if they just lose by a normal amount, can they, with that very excellent defense they have, keep them contained just enough so it does not get out of hand, so we don't have Miami's absolute fillet of Oregon like we saw a couple or 10 days or so ago. But it is a home game for Miami. It's going to be loud. They're going to be packed out there. Miami sports fans, LA sports fans are kind of the similar. If you're from the West Coast and don't understand, if things are going well, everybody shows up. I would compare this to when USC was the hottest thing in LA and they didn't have an NFL team. I know the Dolphins are there, but they're really bad right now, and the Marlins are not good. The Heat are kind of middling. The Panthers are the hottest team in town. So Florida's a football state. So Miami, hottest team in town right now, so the people will care. It'll be loud, but Indiana fans will find their way to get there. It should be a great crowd and a great atmosphere, and I'm looking forward to the game. I'm curious to see if Miami's got enough to hang with them.
Yeah, I mean, what's up, everybody? Hope you're having a good one. Appreciate you being along for the ride with us. And, I'm very excited about tonight's game. Bittersweet, like you said, the last college football game. However, I've been looking forward to this one for a few days and ready to pop the top on kickoff and getting all that underway and just seeing how this unfolds after all the prognostications and predictions and everything for the last several days. I will say, while bittersweet, it's also a bit strange because it just feels like it's in the middle of nowhere. And I saw some of this sentiment on social media earlier today, and I kind of had been thinking it myself, and I don't know who exactly to point back to because I saw a couple of things that were kind of similar in saying what I was feeling, in that, yeah, it's the national championship game, but you don't even really feel like it is the national championship game. I mean, if you're in Miami right now and you're walking the streets and seeing the banners on the lampposts and you're hanging out and everybody's got Miami or Indiana gear on, then I'm sure it feels that way. But I just watched the NFL all weekend long and turned right around into NFL headlines, and it does not feel like, hey, this is college football's big day where they're going to crown a champion. It feels like the season ended about a month ago, and like, oh, yeah, they're still playing games. And that just falls in line with all the other kind of things that are on the periphery of this game right now. That's all the off-the-field stuff and the calendar and things like that. But I do have that sort of feeling. I'm excited about the game. I'm excited about the matchups. But it does sort of feel like it's on an island compared to the rest of the season. I don't know about you guys, but beyond that, I mean, it's not going to ruin my enjoyment of the game by any means. But I do think when you're thinking big picture stuff, then that is definitely a feeling I get with this whole enterprise right now.
Yeah, because so much going on in the NFL. One, teams that are into the championship round, but also coaching changes and so much more, including a couple of blockbuster notes that we'll discuss later. It has been 149 days since Iowa State beat Kansas State in Dublin, Ireland. 149 days from the time the season began until tonight when it ends between Miami and also Indiana. Here are a couple of notes on the game. I mentioned that the spread, which had gotten up as much, I think 8.5. I'm not a gambler, but I'm sure those of you who do dabble with that would know. Ticket prices. Here is the latest ticket prices, and it's gone up a little bit since that time. The prices, Brandon, do we have that? There we go. $3,592 is the current get-in, and this is from the little bit late yesterday. Total tickets available. There's still 3,500 or so that have not yet been purchased. And then on top of that, there will be, and it always is, it's either there's a huge surge right before the start when people start to panic and they need a ticket, maybe pay too much, or people realize that, well, no, it's not that urgent and the price of the tickets go down.
Yeah, I mean, those 3,500 tickets are probably sporadic at best throughout the stadium. I still think it's a travesty that it's $3,500 to get into a game for one person. But I'll jump off my soapbox just to talk that that's great news for Hard Rock Stadium in a national championship game that you're down to game of, and you do essentially have a sellout, which has been a concern of a lot of this because you do ask people to travel a lot. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem they don't have here is one of the teams is playing in their home stadium, so you're not asking their fans to go to a third or fourth locale that they would have been to in the last month. So this might actually prove the point of doing more games on campus, not traveling as much for the fans, and making sure you have sellouts. Now, not everybody can be Indiana and thirsty for all that, but you saw last year in the playoffs, some of the bigger fan bases you could tell they were kind of budgeting for the biggest ones, but this kind of lends more to the, hey, college games at college stadiums are pretty darn cool ideas.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, and I can only imagine what Miami's like right now in the hours leading up to this. Saw our pal Shahan Jayaraj out there and was enjoying himself a Cubano, I guess, and just kind of walking the beach and everything. And so, it's a cool spot. A couple of great teams. Should be a really good game. I think I saw earlier today that the prices had actually gone back up. They were super high right after the championship semifinal round, and then after that waned a little bit. They started to go down last week, and now as we've gotten closer, they've shot back up again. So last I saw, based on a Yahoo report, was as of this morning, get-in price $3,910, average ticket price $5,740. So it is not a cheap ticket, and I don't know if they'll get a full sellout, but I'm sure there will be some walk-ups that can't help themselves and are willing to bite the bullet, and this is the best offer you're going to get at this point. So you maybe tried to wait to get a better one, and now you're SOL. I think it'll be a madhouse with Miami having the hometown flair and, like Paul said, having people on that bandwagon. But, I mean, we saw that Indiana crowd against Oregon, and that was for the semis. That was just completely electric, and it helped that you got a pick six right out of the gates, and that just was gasoline on a fire. But I think both sides are chomping at the bit for a title, and I can't wait to see just the atmosphere itself alone tonight. Hopefully the game will follow suit as far as being great.
Scott Friedman, who covers ticket prices, let me throw out a couple of these, Brandon, before we go to the next one, said that, that number is in that nearly $4,000 range. Really good seats have been drastically cut, though, in the last 24 hours. You mentioned that. That also said this. There is countless stories, fans that are being stalled by exchanges in the delivery of the college football playoff tickets, the championship game tickets, and there are some that are panicking because they've made the money, they've paid the money. Yes, there's a refund. You think that. I'll never forget when I had my father-in-law and my father coming to the Masters in Augusta, Georgia, and the first round tickets that I had bought never showed up. And I had to sit down with them and explain that. They were thrilled to be there. They were there for 3 days, but it's a sickening feeling because you want to be there when it starts. And I hope that those who bought tickets get their tickets and there won't be any shenanigans on that.
Well, the great news is that there's pretty much no such thing as a physical ticket anymore.
No, you're right. It's a barcode or something like that. Yeah.
If you have a functional phone and know how to work it, you should have a ticket. Hopefully, you did not get scammed in any way there. But that's they've solved the one problem by just making scalping illegal or legal. They made scalping legal. But now you don't get fake tickets because they have to be a barcode and a QR code or whatever, and you scan it when you go in. So part of the fraud is gone, but now they've just taken over the rip for themselves.
Well, they're hopefully everything works out. Now, when's the last time these two teams met? It's not like they've played much. In fact, it has been forever. 1966, there was a guy named Ted Hendricks, the Stork, the great Ted Hendricks from the Oakland Raiders days, was on that team as Miami beat Indiana 14-7. They have not played in what is nearly, 60 years, almost 60 years since they played in that game.
Yeah, I mean, that's not surprising. There's not really been a lot of reason for them to cross over. They've played in different levels of bowl games for the most part. Miami, one of the more elite teams in Indiana, team just sort of in existence in there for the most part, like a lot of other schools. I can't imagine that outside of a random year where maybe they were sort of similar record-wise, there was maybe a shot they could have played in the Tire Bowl or the Popcorn Bowl or whatever. But, that's not a matchup that we've seen, to your point, basically at all, a lot of us in our lifetime. So, there's that other element of this game, not only being new blood versus blue blood and all of that, but, really new matchup, fresh matchup with a couple teams who don't know each other all that well. So I think that's something that, I think there's probably times where there is a lot of familiarity, especially with the bigger brands, and that gets you even more excited of like, oh, it's Georgia and Ohio State again. But I like all the newness. I like the newness this year. I think it's provided something different and something for more people to get excited about. And even those that are kind of stuck in the blue blood mud, it's even a little taste of just, okay, this is how the tournament with a little March Madness sizzle to it can work out, and how teams who aren't necessarily part of the country club can work their way in and prove themselves. And that's the thing, is Indiana has proven themselves and done so with just as much of an emphatic nature as you possibly can. Given these last couple of rounds, we've seen them just blow the doors off of some pretty well-respected and pretty damn good football teams. So, there's a lot of freshness to this, a lot of, I think, wonder about how this game goes, and a lot of excitement to crown a champ. I know I said earlier it doesn't really feel like the national championship game. It doesn't. I mean, it will once the ball gets rolled out there and we hear the national anthem and all of that. But I do think once that gets underway, it will very much feel like, yeah, man, it's time to crown a champion, and these two teams are more than worthy. And hey, there's a cool element that they don't really know each other all that well at the same time.
So, if you are a fan and you wanted to go to all of the games, and that's not even including traveling to Eugene, Oregon, which is 3,700 miles, if you got tickets to do that. They also played at Penn State. They played at Maryland. They played at Iowa, I believe, in Purdue. So the trip to the Big 12, Big 10 championship game was nothing. It's in their backyard, Indianapolis. The trip to L.A. Pasadena is 3,285 miles. Then they played in Atlanta, which was 900 miles. That's manageable. And then now Miami's nearly 2,000 miles. And you just wonder about, like, the normal person, fan, middle income or whatever, just the guys or girls, how much, if anyone, could keep making that change. If that game in Pasadena, which was the Rose Bowl, they got to buy, had that been a home game, you're talking about a lot less of a cost. and you would have plenty left in the wallet or on your credit card for the next week.
I am to the point where I just think that the bowl system is antiquated in this current way it sets up now. I think there's got to be some middle ground for this. And if you want to rotate the New Year Six of that's who gets the championship on January 1st or 2nd or, whenever it falls, to kind of avoid the NFL the most, I suppose. But January 1st needs to be the last day, and we need to play. If we're going to play playoff games, we need to play them on campuses until the end. I just think that we do. I think that it's going to be better for the sport. I think it's going to be better for the fans overall. And I think that doing this because of all the different old traditions of the bowls, well, you guys as the college football leaders have just thrown every other tradition into the wood chipper. The fact that you're holding on to this one, to me, seems counterproductive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care too much about what people are having to pay. I guess if I was in their shoes, I'd be more worried about it. But, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a thing to wonder about if you're the playoff committee and you're trying to ensure that these fans are going to show up to all of these games, because the last thing you want is a half-empty stadium for like a quarterfinal game or something. So, yeah, there is that concern, but I guess I just don't really have that much of a concern about it because Indiana's traveled to all these bad boys and haven't been worse for wear. So and
not everybody lives in Bloomington, Indiana, with 800,000 plus.
Right. I mean, they got fans in LA and fans in Phoenix and New York and everywhere else. And so does a brand like Miami. But I mean, I get your overall point. I think that's something they need to consider. And I think that the taking of all of the biggest bowl games and just throwing them into the playoff isn't necessarily the greatest idea, but I get why they want to attach themselves to that because they're the biggest bowl games and those are the types of matchups they would normally get. So they want the types of matchups they would normally get. And it happens that those matchups are now the quarterfinals and the semifinals and whatnot. So I think that they certainly have reason to want to be a part of that system. I don't think the bowl system itself is in need of being done away with to accommodate the playoff. But I do think there's probably better ways to do this. And I think that's not having, I mean, I know they're basically trying to just be the NFL now. And they've been wanting to be the NFL now for years and years. And now that everybody's kind of seeing that they're turning the NFL, now they're like, see, now we need to do more of the NFL stuff because now we're practically the NFL. So let's just be all the way the NFL. But yeah, I don't know that I love a team just sitting at home for 3-4 straight playoff games. No, I don't know that I love that.
No, I don't want
mean,
that.
All the way until the championship game. I don't want to see Ohio State with like 3 Columbus games. And I get that that's what Green Bay would get or whatever. But I don't know that I love that either. I think having the semifinals in a neutral site is one thing. You're asking people to take a couple trips. I don't think there should be any big, like the Fiesta Bowls, the quarterfinals, though. That's where I'm.
No, I agree.
I think
agree.
First round, campus, second round, campus, and then semifinals. All right, now whose turn is it? The Fiesta and the Cotton? All right, you're the semis, and the orange gets the natty. But, yeah, I don't like the bowls that are all of some substance and popularity overtaking all of the playoff games and having teams be like the orange, rose, and sugar champions all in one year, I think is kind of ridiculous. But, I also don't want to see Texas A&M with 3 games in College Station before they finally have to go.
I think if you get a home game in the whatever it is, 12, 16, 20, we'll get to that in a little bit, but whatever that is, I get that. But most of those teams that host their first game win, they're not hosting the next one.
Well, no, I mean, nobody is.
So they'd get one home game at the most, it appears to me. Yeah.
So if you played the second round on campus, you're getting a home game in the first round for, the higher seeded team. And then a different team is hosting a home game in the second round, a higher seed who should have a home game, for God's sakes. And then,
that's how you get rid of the bye. Like, okay, how do we get the bye? Well, you'll have maybe a couple of home games instead of a bye. I think is maybe the way you approach that. Is like, hey, you're the top seed, you get the lowest draw, and you get the home game, and then maybe a second home game if you win that one. And this is all like big picture playoff talk that never ends. There's more talk about how to fix things than there is about the actual format itself, which I think is one of the bigger issues driving college football. Is that's like pretty much across the board. Every topic is more about how you fix the portal than how cool the portal is, how you fix free agency than how cool free agency is, how you fix the playoff and how cool the playoff is. I think that's an indictment of the leadership or lack thereof. But, I mean, that's something that's going to remain a topic. And for these two teams, Miami just happened to luck out where they got a home game for a national title. So good for them. And I think Indiana's going to offset that a little bit with the crowd that they bring. But, there's definitely better ways to probably do all this. And I don't think it's 3 or 4 games at home. I think it's a couple at most. And, that's the way you can earn that. That's one of the benefits of being one of the higher-ranked teams when all is said and done.
Potato skins and rattlesnake bites will be Paxton's choice of food tonight watching the game. I haven't made up my mind yet, but if you want to put that in the chat, we'd appreciate that.
Love some potato skins.
And the never, it seemed like, ending and sometimes emotional roller coaster for Baylor fans and maybe even the coaching staff, DJ Lagway, Florida quarterback from Willis High School, finally signed. Happened yesterday. It was up and down, and I mean, a lot of people were clinging to God knows what it was, a rock with a slick edge. I mean, this thing did take a lot longer than you would have thought, but he did sign. And then today, this is where he was in class at meetings. There's the deuce from DJ Lagway, and he is now officially a part of the Baylor football team.
Yeah, it's the long nightmare of the poor citizens of the 254 is over. They can go back to their homes. They can see their families. It's over. DJ Lagway has signed, and players have started to come along to play with DJ Lagway, which is the only way that Baylor could have given some optimism going in. They needed this, and what that result is remains to be seen. But I'm happy that it's finally over, and he's here, and they can start rolling through.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that it's over with, and we can start to talk about what they look like with him and with all these other newcomers on the roster. Spring, somewhat far away, a couple months away from being more in focus, but now you can at least start to look at the pieces of the puzzle and how they fit together. And, okay, you got DJ Lagway, and you got these 3-4 offensive linemen you brought in, and now you got these 4 wide receivers you brought in, and how does that look, and how does this work with Spavital and all of those things? So that's exciting, and they desperately needed this as a fan base. There was nothing else to get excited about. Literally not a single thing to get excited about. They trotted out all of the new things to try to distract you from how bad last season was. Oh, here's the return to certain uniforms, and this is a blackout night, and all these things. And by the end of it, everybody was just ready for the season to be over and wondering, after the decision to keep Dave Aranda in place, how this was all going to look on the other side of that. And when the announcement was made that Aranda was going to stay, you looked around and you go, all right, well, how in the hell do they possibly make this an exciting offseason? Because people are pissed. They're not excited about another year of Aranda. What could you possibly do to spice things up and get people invested? Well, you got a new athletic director who's trying to change things up and shake them up a little bit. But you needed a splash. And I know for some fans out there who have watched DJ Lagway, you may be going, what's the big deal? Like, he was not that good last year. And I understand where you're coming from, but I think that's the kind of position that they were in, is they needed just a name, a guy, especially when you're replacing Sawyer Robertson, to kind of rally things around and hope for a big leap from last year to this year. And so that'll be the hope for DJ Lagway with Jake Spavital, is that, number one, he's healthy, and number two, he can get back to elevating his game and maybe be in a little bit of a better spot than just how wonky Gainesville was, with all of the Napier talk and everything kind of overshadowing things last year, including questions about his health. So new start, and I think it's a fresh start as well for the Baylor program, and hopefully these two sides are a good pairing, because Lord knows they're going to need each other. And I think to still have a little bit of excitement, as opposed to what would have happened if they'd struck out on him. I can't even imagine like how you gear people up. Well, Nate Bennett's the quarterback next year. Like, good luck with all that. Like, there's nothing you're going to do to get people excited. But with DJ Lagway being a legacy and all that, having a little bit of a skin in the game, I think that'll get people at least a little bit more optimistic about the direction. And we'll see. I definitely don't think it puts them in line for Big 12 contendership right now. I think they're in the middle of the pack at best, but it is something better than nothing.
No, you're right. And Nate Bennett could end up being an All-American, but maybe. I understand the thought. In fact, I saw where Zach Smith of the Waco Trib went and did an interview with one of the incoming players that played for Jason Witten at Argyle Liberty Christian, to kind of give him an idea of him on his way. But DJ Lagway signed, sealed, one of the issues that I was told that could have been part of the holdup, and I know that most everyone's going to say, yeah, he's trying to get more money elsewhere or up the ante, was that some of what he had in NIL while he's at Florida had to be approved to be a crossover at Baylor. For example, Jordan Brand or other things that he was a part of. Some of that paperwork was tied up a little bit longer than most people thought.
Well, I'll be curious to see how his game is next year, and we'll have months to sit here and wonder about that. But I'll look forward to seeing him in spring ball a little bit, hearing what he has to say. And a lot of other new faces are going to be around him as well. They've brought in a bunch of receivers and offensive linemen and whatnot. So a lot of change on the defensive side as well. So I think they're a very curious team, but they're more interesting now with Lagway as opposed to without. And I shudder to think of what would have happened if he had not signed and if this had continued to have dragged on. I mean, we went a week past his commitment with still wondering about where he was going to actually sign. So good for them to actually get it done and over and official and be able to announce it. And now they can move on to the next course of business and not have to worry about just the egg on your face of had he decided to do something different because one thing wasn't exactly the way that he wanted it. I mean, he really could have left them in a really bad situation. And I think he could have left his family in a very embarrassing situation. So I'm glad that's not what we're having to talk about today. And instead it's the feel good that was the way it was the day he committed. You just had to wait another week to actually really celebrate it.
So there were a couple of people within his inner circle that I leaned on and helped me with some things. And there were times where like, yeah, that's probably taking a little bit longer, but they kept telling me these were some things that had to be done. And then, of course, what was it on Thursday or Friday when the Lagway family was in town? I didn't really say that until it was put out on in a message board because I just thought that's a little bit personal, but I get a message board doing it. So Art Gwynn put up this picture of what was with Paul and me at a high school game at AT&T Stadium. Do you have that, Brandon? The image? Yeah, well, that's okay. There was a picture with Paul, and they took a shirt that I was wearing, and they transformed it into this T-shirt. It said Smokey Say Relax because I had told everybody to kind of just relax, and this thing's going to happen. Andrew has turned that into a T-shirt that you can. There it is. Andrew's turned that into a T-shirt, and I was not wearing that T-shirt. I don't know. Somebody did a good job with that. He's now put it in the merchandise aisle. Is that right, Andrew? We could put that up. There we go. Smokey Says Relax unisex T-shirt. If you want to buy it, there's the barcode, $15.50, and you can wear it if, in fact, you want. Now, a couple of other transfer portal notes. Oklahoma State with a nice pickup of safety out of Missouri and Mose Phillips. He has transferred to Oklahoma State. Had, let's see, in his career, caused 3 fumbles. He began at Virginia Tech. He also had 4 tackles for losses and 100 tackles in his career. So a nice pickup, Oklahoma State continuing to add to what is a pretty nice little chunk for them at a highly ranked transfer portal as of now.
Yeah, they've done a great job. Of course, he was able to just bring a ton of his team from North Texas with him there to Stillwater, but getting this transfer, I think this is his 3rd spot. He started at Virginia Tech a couple years ago and had a nice season with a bunch of tackles, kind of got lost in the shuffle at Mizzou. But again, a nice pickup for Oklahoma State, and they continue to, completely rebuild a roster that for the last 2 years was DOA.
I think they've done a nice job. I mean, they got the dream team scenario as far as the North Texas guys that they wanted, especially on offense. I do have more questions about the defense, but the defense at North Texas was pretty good. So we'll see how much carryover there is there. Offense is definitely going to lead the way for them. It is amazing to see yet another guy on school number 3, and I just don't get excited about guys like this before just actually see them out there on the field playing the same way I probably would have a couple years ago. Like I'm almost numb to the kind of traveling around at this point. But I trust Eric Morris's talent evaluation, and obviously a couple pretty good programs wanted him. So I think if you're Oklahoma State, the more the merrier to try to flip this roster and get the talent level up, and we'll see if Mose Phillips is able to help them do that. But yeah, another guy on school number 3. I really do wonder what the average is now across the country.
Gotta be that.
I wonder if there's not more guys that have played at 3 or more schools now than certainly than there's ever been before. But like what Is it the majority now that have done that? Probably not, because that's a lot of guys, but I would love to know the percentages of what it was 2 years ago, the number of guys on school 3 or more versus a year ago versus this year, because it feels like nearly every single non-top recruit that we talk about is on school number 3 almost every single time now. And even some of the top guys have even gone that way. Like Cam Ward's a famous example of that, but that was because he was so misdiagnosed early on as far as starting off an incarnate word. But I mean, John Mateer's an example of a really highly recruited guy that's now on school 3 because he started lower as well. But yeah, just from a number standpoint, I would really be curious to see 2 years ago, 2 years ago, last year, this year, what's the average number of schools? And I think that would probably be pretty shocking, but not surprising.
No, I think that, that pie chart was probably here, or this, and now it's probably there and growing and growing. I wonder, before we get to a CBA, if there will ever be is there kind of a common, okay, if you don't play, if you redshirt a year, and that's even before we get to 5 for 5, they redshirt you, and then you play the redshirt freshman year and you're no closer to playing there, that's probably a good indicator that you're stuck and maybe need to find a new place. Or if you're just genuinely blocked at a position like quarterback and you can go another place and start. But yeah, people have got to start, thinking about their development too, because if this player's goal, these players who have gone to 3 schools, is to get to the NFL, I don't really think that's how you do that at this point in your developmental journey as a younger athlete.
I don't know. That's why I'd love to see the numbers, because I wonder how many guys now in the NFL draft have gone to 3 schools or so. I would think it probably does delay your development a little bit, but I mean, now it's becoming so common. That's the thing, is it's literally every other guy's name that I see come across the portal. It's like he was previously at James Madison and Rutgers, and now he's going to North Texas. And it's like, okay, so yeah, I'm just curious about that. But I mean, Mose Phillips seems like a solid pickup, getting back to the point of the original story. And I think Oklahoma State's done a terrific job. I mean, it's just so hard until the dust settles, it's so hard to get excited about every single guy. Like, I know when you follow a school, every guy's like, awesome, big pickup, huge pickup, massive pickup, and all of that. But yeah, let's see how the dust settles on this. I think when the dust settles, you're going to be more than pleased with what Eric Morse was able to put together these last few weeks. And I know you can already tell that it's night and day as far as the excitement level surrounding Oklahoma State football. So yeah, they've done a really good job. I do wonder more about the defense, because the offense obviously is in very good hands and now trusted hands with all the proven playmakers you were able to bring over from Denton. But you've also brought over some guys on the defensive side of the ball as well. So they're filling the holes, and I think it's going to be a very fun spring, just kind of seeing the early stages of trying to put all these pieces together for this new staff.
So how many schools, Craig? 3? Is that about what we think might be the average? Is that right?
I don't know. I don't think it's the national average, because I think there's too many guys that have only played at 2 or have stuck around, especially the better players. But that's why I do wonder is like, was it 15% a year ago? And now if it was 15%, I would wager it's like 25%.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I'm just curious, nothing more than that. Not even throwing shade. Just wonder how common it is now, because it feels awfully common when we talk about it.
Well, Tamu Napepe from Baylor, he committed to play at, Florida, and then flipped from Florida to Colorado over the weekend. He started, by the way, at A&M, and he's on his 4th school, basically 3.5. He committed to Colorado over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you that much about his run here at Baylor, but I could tell you that this last year, the defensive line, if you were tell me which guy was great, I would have been like, next question, please.
He did nothing at Baylor. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to really speak about. So, I mean, good luck to Colorado. Obviously, Florida wants you. They've got a great new staff there. Colorado, they know D linemen, and I think they've got some good eye for talent. But, yeah, I don't want to sit here and pretend. I'm not going to do the thing where every pickup's a great pickup. Yep. This one, I have no idea. I mean, the size, great. The position, awesome. But beyond that, I mean, literally nothing I can tell you about what he did last year.
8 tackles in 2 years.
Yeah, so I mean, let's see how he does. Maybe this is the spot that is the launching point for him to be his best version of his best self. But beyond that, I mean, yeah, it's just another pickup to me as far as that goes.
All right, just wanted to throw that in there. Now, this was from NCAA Transfer Portal, and this is from late Saturday evening. As the closing night of the portal comes to an end, 3,211 players entered the portal. I don't know if that's all divisions, and 1,837, 57% committed. Obviously, there are some out there, and you wonder about where they end up. If they go further, they go to another level down. Do they just find a place? A lot of movement still to come, but the portal itself has been closed.
Right. So, I mean, at least that part of it is done, I guess. And now, yeah, there's the waiting game of, I guess, others who are still out there. And obviously, some of them did not make very good choices. And I think that would be an interesting article for any of the number of columnists that we have on in this show over the course of each day, whether it be a Sam Connor, a Max Olson, or a whoever. I'd love to hear from the guys who listen to Uncle Joe, the street agent part-time, who said, no, man, go get you in that portal, get you some money, get you a better opportunity, and then look around and don't even have a team at all to go to. That maybe that's not that common, but I'm sure there's some cases of that can be found in this class, or still found their way and aren't exactly out in the cold entirely like some of these guys are, but definitely took a demotion as opposed to the promotion they thought they might have been taken. I think those sort of cautionary tales need to be put out there. I know the street agents don't want those cautionary tales out there. They're too busy just completely abusing the system and the lack of rules around it. Not that all of them are that way, but we've just heard too many times about guys taking cuts that Hollywood agents don't get to take by like double. And there's just people who don't know any better and clearly have no guidance or leadership around them that are just going along with this whole grift. And I find it sad, and I'm not surprised. There's always predators out in the industry where you can make some money. But yeah, I'd love to hear about some of the guys who maybe took the wrong advice and what their advice would be to guys who are in similar positions to them. I think that's an important message to get out there. And yeah, this was to be expected that there's going to be some people still waiting around once the portal closes because, well, by God, like 10,000 of you jumped in there. There's not that many spots. And oh yeah, by the way, there's new guys coming in every single year that are younger now, in some cases by like 3 or 4 years than you are, who are going to be true freshmen that somebody would rather have as their third string linebacker than the 5th-year senior guy. So, yeah, I'd be curious to know that part as well. I got all sorts of article ideas for you guys out there for the next few weeks, I guess.
It's like the one I mentioned, high school football recruiting. There was no portal. You had to be a grad transfer or you had to sit out a year. Where are they in 2 years after they portal? That would be a nice, Sam Conn, Max Olson, those kind of great guys who chase that portal all the time just to kind of see where people end up.
It's not even all bad stories. I mean, obviously, John Mateer, Cam Ward, there's been a ton of guys. I mean, Fernando Mendoza's been a blessing
on his third
for the portal.
Second school, sorry.
On his second school, yeah. But I mean, he's been blessed by being in the portal. And there's countless others, a lot of the big name quarterbacks that we talk about, Carson Beck as well. So it's not all bad, but when you talk specifically about the number of players that are still sitting around, I think that a lot of those guys probably got bad advice, or maybe this just isn't their game anymore, and you got to face reality eventually that there's not a desire out there for your talents anymore. But it's a tough way to figure that out. If you were going in there with some type of anticipation that this was going to be a lotto ticket, or you were going to automatically take a step up, I think there's guys who found out they portaled themselves out of football entirely.
No, yeah, and they make bad decisions because it seems like it's just easier to walk away from things like bowl games or whatever. It's their career, and if they make a mistake and end up not playing again at a decent level or not being seen or not enjoying themselves, they got to also have consequences. And then sometimes it turns into a Cinderella dream world, and you end up playing big-time football and maybe even at some point getting looked at and a better chance to play at the next level, over the percentage of that is very, very low. Our guest lineup today, we'll have Phil Bennett today at 5. Last time he'll be on to kind of analyze that game tonight. What, in fact, does Indiana, Miami, what will they do for each other, how they counter this and that. But coming up, Kelvin Harris, Paul from Fort Myers, Florida, your old stomping grounds. He played at the University of Miami. And his record at Miami, now I'll wait for the introduction on this. This is a great segment coming up with Kelvin Harris, former center at Miami. So I think we have pretty much everything. There is going to be a segment later on about college football. We'll have interviews, audio from Signetti and also Cristobal, but about the college football conference championship playoff future. They just don't get it. Maybe they do. It's just constantly, and the deadline to approve something, if it's going to go higher than 12, is this Friday. And there have been some warning shots, and two of the big boy conferences are fighting with each other. That is going to be a segment we'll do today, probably around 4:25.
Yeah, great. The day of your national championship, that's one of the main topics, is your playoff future and how out of sorts it all is. Again, they do it to themselves. But I think, again, on a day where the NFL kind of ruled the weekend, it feels like if you paid close attention like it's National Championship Day, although it would really feel like National Championship Day, games running right up to January 1st or thereabouts, and it's your National Championship Day, and we're not doing a show today, and we're sitting back watching Miami versus Indiana for all the marbles, and they're getting the full stage and not being overshadowed by NFL coaching moves. But this is where we find ourselves, but we also find ourselves with that timing of the day you're playing this game. A lot of the off-field talks about how the system sucks and how they're trying to still fix it. So I that's the part that drives me nuts about this game right now. Once the ball's rolled out there tonight, I'll love every minute of it. But the fact that there's all this constant backstage politicking going on their biggest days is just, I think, foolish.
One of the jokes I heard, Paul, you're a stand-up comedian, you like to do that, is that the SEC couldn't agree because they haven't been to a college championship game in 3 years. So they weren't there to argue their point. That
is funny.
Yeah.
It is weird, and we'll talk about this later, but Greg Sankey might be actually fighting the good fight on this one.
No, I know. So that and a couple of little tiny quotes from commissioners from around college football on the expansion. Does it go higher than 12? They better have a decision. By Friday, there will not be an extension of that. It will otherwise stay at 12, and I'm good with that. When we come back, Kelvin Harris, former Miami offensive lineman, on the game tonight on the U, and about the return of all of this attention that has flashed all the way back to the great teams in the 80s and 90s and even 01. This is 365 Sports. Petty Clinic, LowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be. I read something online over the weekend that every year after you turn 35 or so, you start to lose like 5 or 6 points off your T level. There's a number, a testosterone level number when you give blood, or not give blood, you have blood taken, and they check your T level that needs to be like right here, 700 or 650 or 800, and you start losing a little bit of that almost like every month after you turn a certain age. Not everybody, 1 out of every 3 to 4 men have symptomatic issues of low T. And one of them is just, man, you don't feel right. You're lethargic. You don't have that oomph in your life in many ways. Dr. Kent Petty can help you out. Contact him and his staff, pettycliniclowt.com. Tell them I sent you. They will set you up to get your blood work, take care of that, get the T level result, and be back in touch with you if, in fact, you need a boost. They put you in a program so you can become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, used to be with Dr. Kent Petty at pettycliniclowt.com.
It's my go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Save big during the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Drive a new Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with $13,000 off, or choose 0% financing. Get a new Laramie Crew Cab 4-wheel drive with 3.9% financing for 72 months, plus $15,000 off MSRP. Explore in a new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo, starting at $31,990. Happening now at Allen Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Bold are the adventurous.
Determined are the leaders. Faithful are the healers. At Baylor, you'll find your calling, your people, and your purpose. Dare to be you, indeed.
Marco's only uses premium toppings, which means your pizza isn't just flavorful, it's mushroom-full, or sausage-full, or pepperoni-full. And you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas from the place named America's favorite pizza chain starting at $8.99 every day, only at Marco's.
I pitched in the major leagues for 24 years, and let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Ooh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Got floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
Here we go, closing in on the end of this 3 o'clock hour. I had a chance to visit with what a personality and a hell of a player at the University of Miami, the U. 1987 to 1991. Calvin Harris, the offensive lineman, the center. His teams were 56-4, 5 consecutive bowl victories, and 3 national titles from Fort Myers, Florida.
Would you like, Kelvin, this is Paul Catalina. I want you to know, before we start, you and I have this in common.
He knows you are from Bishop Barrow.
Yes. Okay. We are both Fort Myers High School, or Fort Myers.
You just blew the lead.
Sorry. Offensive lineman. I was a backup. You went to Miami, so we're the same.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. What year were you at Bishop Barrow?
I graduated in 98. So
okay.
Here's what I remember.
With Keith Williams.
Keith was a couple years ahead of me. Yeah. Keith, oh God, what a great guy Keith was. But when I moved to Fort Myers earlier, when I was in middle school, I remember when you came back into town, the local news and like national champion Calvin Harris. So when Smoak said we were going to have you on the show, I had a flashback to my youth.
Hey, good time.
Calvin, that's enough from him because he also went to Florida State. So all this friendly stuff ends now, right?
Everyone makes poor life decisions. You just have to overcome them.
56-4, that era with Jimmy Johnston and Dennis Erickson and all the great players, including you. And let's start with tonight, though, and what Miami has brought back. A lot of the former players roaming the sidelines. What has it meant to those who played when Miami became such a huge story in the early 80s when they won their first national title?
Well, it's interesting because I was young in '83 when they won it, and it was exciting. And then Schnellenberger leaves, and Jimmy comes in, and that '86 team, I think, is still the greatest team to never win a national championship. And that's what kind of drew me to that team, Jerome Brown. And, it was exciting. And then you get there, and the first year we win a national championship, when you're going through it, you don't really know what you're, accomplishing, I guess is the word, what you're a part of. And then, I guess years later, people chronicle it, and you're like, wow, I guess that was pretty neat. Like, I was on the phone this morning with Warren Sapp and Luke, because Luke was trying to get some historical facts, and I broke it down to him. There are 11 of us from UM with 3 rings. And I actually posted it on my Twitter account. And then there's actually 6 guys from Alabama, that ended up getting 3 rings. So there's only about 16 or 17 of us that have had the ability, were afforded the opportunity to be a part of 3 championship teams. And, to be quite honest with you, me and my crew should be 4 because Notre Dame in '88 was robbery.
Kelvin, I saw you pushed them in a locker on Twitter earlier today too, or yesterday, about some of their stuff. What do you see from your old teammate Mario Cristobal that he's been able to bring from that era and then meld it with the new era?
Physicality. Every day on Green Tree was physical, and I think he has brought that to the forefront, where every day when you go out to practice, you gotta earn your spot, and he is doing a great job of having the kids buy into not just the physicality but the culture. Because I got friends who got kids at different schools, and it's it's a culture there that between him and the kids, they cultivated where we can play the same position and we don't have to be enemies because we're all, striving for the same goal to win, and win big. And I think, you guys are going to, not going to be shocked, but don't be surprised if we're back here again next year.
Yeah. Mario Cristobal has obviously brought back that edge. He's brought back, he's kind of put that place in a really good situation with the way it's built and more. Kelvin, what did it mean to you to play for the University of Miami? And not just during that time, there were some unbelievable teams, and we mentioned you were a part of 3 national title teams, but what was it like to be at the U?
It was it was just about the U was being at the school was one thing, but being in South Florida at that time was just it was hard to explain. I mean, we were like cult heroes. We were able to go around and we didn't pay for anything. I mean, we had as much clout or more clout as the Dolphins. Now we respected those guys. The older guys, when I first got there, Melvin Bratton and Tolbert Bain, those guys, they were on a whole other level. I mean, they were, because, they went to Northwestern and they were a part of the 83 team. So they had a lore, Alonzo Highsmith, Jerome Brown. I mean, it was surreal. I guess that's the way. I remember the first night we were in town, we went to a party at the Fountain Blue, or at the Eden Rock, actually. And I remember we got back at like 4:30 in the morning, and me and my roommate, Anthony Hamlet, we were like, man, these guys look like rock stars. And it's like, you just sort of just kind of get indoctrinated into the culture. But the one thing that I think Mario has brought back, and that is evident, is that we work hard every day in practice. We work hard in the weight room. We work hard in the film room. I mean, those guys, that was the one thing that was amazing about those guys. Brett Perriman, Michael Irvin, Melvin Bratton, all those older guys, they were film junkies, and they would find the smallest advantage off of film. I remember one day we were watching film. I guess, statute of limitations gone now. I remember Coach Johnson comes in and says on Sunday, this is a no class week because we're playing Florida State. No class week. Everybody's got to be over here at 9 o'clock. So, the scout team guys are watching film with the offense, and I remember Michael Irvin and Brett Perriman looking at this one guy like, yeah, we're going at him. And we didn't understand and it's like, he's got big shoulder pads. Look at those hip pads. Oh, he's got high top shoes. And they were explaining because, with the high top shoes and, the shoes he's wearing, he won't be able to turn his ankles. I was like, they were just so specific. And, you hear that thing of work hard and party hard. the '87 team was the poster child for that. I mean, from the coaches, I mean, we would come in at 4:30 in the morning, after being, or later than that, sometimes go right to the training table to eat breakfast, and then, during 2 days have a practice. I mean, it was just, but those guys worked so hard, and Mario, when we were there, when Coach Erickson came in, the one thing I give credit to him for is he didn't try to change much. He changed the offense, because the offense, he was ahead of his time, because everybody runs the offense we run now. We were running one back in '89, but now everybody runs it. But he didn't touch the defense, and he didn't touch the work ethic. I mean, he let us police ourselves, and it was just a great marriage. And Butch came in. I mean, there was a lull because of some situations, but Butch came and recreated it, and he brought the same energy because he was a part of Jimmy's staff. So he understood the violence and the physicality. So, that's the beautiful thing about it. Mario has brought back to Green Tree what made us who we are. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. We're going to have big human beings running into big human beings at a violent pace, day after day after day after day. And then we're going to take that to the game, and we're going to violently run into people in the game.
Kelvin, you mentioned the big human beings that they're going to bring, but you were one of those big human beings running into other big human beings. I was trying to figure out, did you ever have a practice on the offensive line going against the defense that you thought today was easy because you had Cortez Kennedy, Russell Maryland, Jimmy Jones,
Shane Curry.
Oh my gosh, Shane Curry. Yeah, all those guys who were not just, really good college players, but long time, like just professional superstar badasses.
I remember when they first moved me to offensive line, and we went our first one-on-one drill. I remember they were fighting to get over me, and I got Cortez the first round, Russell the second round, and Jimmy the third round. And I think it went on the next day, the same thing happened. And I think the third day after practice, I remember going home and I was like, I felt like I was getting a little better, but it could be demoralizing because it's not like you're going to get some scrubs. And then one day I got Shane Curry. It's like Mark Caesar. It was, and as a matter of fact, that was Coach Erickson's first spring. I swear to you, we did not score a touchdown in any scrimmage that spring on those guys.
And then you had, like, right at the end of your career, you had, The Rock and Warren Sapp and those guys coming in. Rusty Sapp was good.
Yeah, Rusty was an outside guy, and I tell you, he used to go against Leon Searcy every day, and he was just glutton for punishment because Leon had the best punch in the game, and he was the most violent person to come through the school with his hands, and he took that to the league too. I remember I had a conversation with after my rookie year, the Super Bowl was in Pasadena, and we were at the they had a room at the host hotel for NFL players to come through, and it was like they had food and drink, and you could talk to different guys. I remember I was talking to Greg Lloyd. He's like, "Hey, did Leon practice like that in college?" I'm like, yes, he did, because he believed in going 100 miles an hour to practice, and his punch was incredible. And Rusty wanted all the smoke, and he used to abuse Rusty. But then Rusty would get in the game, and he was relentless. But I guess that's part of what made us great is that no one backed away from the smoke, and every day you went against a guy who was a pro, and at some point you're saying, well, I'm just not going to get my ass whooped. And, it was just a great competition. And then the coaches were great. We had a bunch of really good coaches as well. And I think that's the one thing I see now. The coaching staff that Mario has this year is the best coaching staff I think we've had in the last 15 years. I mean, no hang-ups. Everybody gets along. It's just, right now, it's a smooth operating machine. And I'm just confused as to why everyone seems to think that Indiana is just going to steamroll us.
Well, they've beaten up almost everybody, but Penn State, I guess, that game on the road, they've been really, really good. Miami, I've said both teams are on a heater. Both teams are playing at a very high level to go into A&M and win, and then turn around and in the games they've won to get to this point. I just look forward to getting home and having something nice to eat and enjoying that game. Calvin, one more thing for me is that city is obviously at times you got to win for people to pay attention. And like LA's like that with USC. The game tonight in Miami, how disappointed will you be if they show an overview and there's a ton of red inside that stadium?
Well, to be honest with you, I expect it to be at least 50-50 because you got to look at this. The tickets are astronomical. Now, there's a ton of people in South Florida who will buy the tickets, yes. But you got to look at it from a standpoint of the people of Indiana. This is like a free winter break. This is a reason to get out of that crazy cold weather. And, it's I think 60 degrees right now in Miami, but that's like 90 degrees in Indiana. So, they're probably running around in shorts and tank tops. So, I expect it to be split, but our kids don't care. They feel disrespected. And I just think, that there's an underestimation of how physical and violent our team is. And I think it's not going to set into Indiana until that first time our offense breaks the huddle and comes up to the line of scrimmage. And I think their defense gets a look at those guys because those guys are huge.
Yeah, they've got a size advantage at Miami for sure over pretty much everybody that they've played this year. Last thing for me, Kelvin, when it comes to the atmosphere of the stadium, one of the things I always felt, and this is just from someone who went to games and watched Florida State lose in the Orange Bowl, I felt until just recently that the heart of the program kind of got gutted when they moved out of the Orange Bowl because that was such a rowdy place during your era. How much would an on-campus stadium or a stadium that is similar in style to the Orange Bowl that allows it to be loud a little bit more than maybe Hard Rock help Miami going forward just into the years to establish that same, oh crap, it's scary to be in this building right now?
Well, I'll say this, because I go to a lot of the games. The misnomer is that Hard Rock isn't loud, but Hard Rock is extremely loud. Because of the way the aerodynamics are, it's sort of like a dome stadium. And when it doesn't even have to be all the way full, but when we are loud, it's tough for teams to hear. And it is, it can be intimidating to the other team. I've been there for night games. I've been there for day games where it's a big game and it gets extremely loud. Now, the Orange Bowl was a way more intimate setting, but I honestly, because of the way South Florida is set up, a stadium on campus, first of all, there's no place you could put it. And second of all, it would really cheat us, because that would basically cut us off from the Palm Beach and Northern Lauderdale people. Because I don't know last time you guys have been down I-95 to US 1, but that is a treacherous drive. Because once you get off I-95 and it comes into US 1, that traffic is ridiculous. So could you imagine on game day trying to? Oh gosh, if it's a 12 o'clock game, you gotta, and you live in Fort Lauderdale, you gotta leave at 9 o'clock so you can make kickoff. But I think it's in the right place. They have buses for the kids, for the students. Honestly, Miami is an area where if you're a winner, you're going to have a crowd. I mean, when the Heat had the Heatles, it was a box office ticket. Now they're just, they're so-so. So there's just so much to do. And I mean, it's just the reality of it. It's the same. I lived in LA. It's the same thing in LA. Like I went to a few Laker games. And let me tell you something. People don't show up to Laker games until late first quarter. I mean, places like Los Angeles and Miami, when there's a lot to do and there's always sun, you got options. But I love Hard Rock for us. We just got to keep winning.
Kelvin, great to get to know you yesterday on the phone. Thank you for your time today to kind of go back over what this surge means to everyone that helped build what the University of Miami was when it comes to football, national titles, etc., and the standard. Enjoy the game tonight. Good luck for you and the Hurricanes, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. You guys have a blessed day.
Kelvin Harris, who spent 15 years of his life in Houston, spent a year in San Antonio, was a part of setting up events at clubs and more when it comes to what he does for a living. That's Kelvin Harris, former 56-4, 3 national titles in 5 years. When we come back, college football. What's happening with the college football playoff? But also, let's hear from Kirk Cignetti and Mario Cristobal. That and more. This is 365 Sports. Valentine's Day is over. Well, it's less than a month. And the Baylor Club is putting up something very special for you. And you don't even have to be a member. So that's even better to enjoy the ambience, the amenities, the atmosphere, and a great night for whoever you're going to take to Valentine's dinner. Celebrate an elevated private event experience, exclusive enhancements included at no additional cost. Book your February event by the end of this month. You have, 2 weeks left? And receive the following Valentine's enhancements. Baylor Club private events including floating candles, red uplighting, rose petals, menu cards, pink and red napkins, chocolate-covered strawberries, and romantic jazz music. Contact Don or Macy to set this up and enjoy a fantastic night for Valentine's Day. Nick Colwell, the general manager at the Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium off I-35 in Waco. Tell them 365 Sports sent you.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
At BK Ford, we step onto the field every day for our customers. Here, legends are born and glory is earned. The spirit of competition unites us all as we stand as one. It's more than a truck, it's a passion. Get ready for the thrill, the triumphs, and the unforgettable moments that only BK Ford can deliver. Are you ready to experience better? BK Ford.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
This is 365 Sports.
We will, of course, all three of us have Indiana winning that game. Andrew has throughout the year, whether there's been 10 games to pick or whatever, 5 games to pick, and now down to 1 game to pick, all of us have Indiana winning. Most everybody does. That doesn't mean that it's like 80-20, but that's why they're also favored by 7.5 to 8 points, at least as of now. So the two coaches with the final for them, probably, at least they're there. Enjoy it. Embrace it. But they had their final head coaches press conference on Sunday. And this first one is with both Mario Cristobal and Kirk Cignetti when asked about what it's like and what was it like to walk off the practice field for the last full practice before, and especially for those who won't be back, before the game coming up tonight.
Cristobal.
Well, yesterday is a typical Thursday practice, and I think the processes themselves are no different than any other Thursday, but every team is unique, right? Everyone is uniquely special and different, and has brought something different to the lives of all the people around them. But I don't see us getting caught up in any nostalgic moments or whatnot. I just really sense that our team was really focused, that they were really intent on carrying out the rest of the day's processes, knowing the tremendous opportunity that we have. And that's how we closed out the evening, and that's how we got ready this morning to go and continue our process.
Coach Cignetti.
Yeah, I think leading up to this game, there's been a lot of pro-Indiana hype, a lot of rat poison out there. And I happened to see Holly Rowe's thing on social media this morning about our guys hugging each other at the end of practice. And it is a close team. And I've witnessed quite a bit of sentimentalism throughout the week from some of our seniors who we've been with quite a long time. I think it's time to sharpen the saw now. Throw those warm fuzzies out the door. That sentimentalism. It's time to go play a game against a great opponent. We got to have a sharp edge going into this game, and you don't go to war with warm milk and cookies.
He cracks me up. And while he's having a great run at 15-0, but you don't go to war with warm milk and cookies.
If you could put two coaches who would be more adverse to having to sit through and do a dual press conference together, I don't know if you could have picked two in Mario Cristobal and Curt Cignetti, who, and I'm sure almost all coaches are like this. How long is this going to last before I can go get back to work? That's the vibe I got from all the clips that you sent. And I watched a little bit of it because I was curious about Mario Cristobal maybe commenting on his quarterback for next year, apparently. But
yeah, that was a couple of days earlier.
Yeah, a couple of days earlier, but he commented on that one. But yeah, this is just two Grizzly coaches that feels like trying to get this done. But I'm glad that Curt Cignetti threw that out there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, he's a funny guy. He's hilarious. He's got some great one-liners, and I can imagine the kind of cut-ups and stories that he tells behind the scenes with other coaches. And, just a guy who I had no feeling about whatsoever when he was at James Madison or an assistant at Alabama or wherever he's been. Not a lot of knowledge of him up until a few years ago, and certainly the last couple of years. And I've quickly grown to become a big fan of the guy. Now, I easily saw early on how he can rub you the wrong way, especially when it's like, why is Indiana talking shit? Like, I mean, who are they? Mm-hmm. And now it's like, well, walk the walk, talk the talk. I mean, they just hadn't walked it really yet, but they started to last year, and then they just sprinted through this year. So they can talk all the trash they want to, and it makes it that much more weighty when he says things now. And he's been a real joy to kind of hear and see throughout this year. And then Cristobal, a guy who I think still just being the Miami head coach probably has his detractors. That's natural with that position. But I like him. I actually like Mario Cristobal. And I think he's probably not the greatest late game coach at times. Like that's a reputation that's going to follow him around, but he's not like super brash and typical Miami, I guess is how you would put it. He's easy to root for as well. And so, I don't have any skin in the game for either one of these teams. I'm just going to sit back and hopefully enjoy a great game between these two. But whichever head coach wins, I'm going to be happy for them to be able to grab their first title. And I think they've both done a great job in getting their teams here. And I think that messaging, the way it was delivered by Cignetti in particular, pretty funny, the warm milk and cookies and going to war and all of that. But that's what they're having to deal with right now. I mean, again, I talked earlier about how long it's taken us to get here. I mean, we've had the NFL playoffs is all the way down to their conference championships now, and we haven't seen a football game in what feels like forever. And so I can only imagine what the wait feels like for them, having to wait all this time, deal with what all they've been dealing with while everybody else is done playing. They're still having to do the same things everybody else is and get ready for a championship game against arguably the first or second best team in the entire country right now after having played multiple top 10 teams. And so it's been a long time to get here. And the last thing you want to do is start going, man, remember back in November? That was good. Like you can do that tomorrow. Like tonight is about like this last run and putting it all out there and finishing the job. And so I'm sure that's part of the job these last few days is having to deal with that. But I have confidence both guys will have their teams ready, and I think both teams will be fired up to play tonight.
Here's what I'm impressed about with Mario Cristobal. Yes, he is not the best game manager. However,
he's learning.
He's learning, but he also, to what Kelvin just said, they have the best coaching staff that they've had in a very long time. So now they put him in positions where he doesn't really have to do that all that often anymore. He doesn't have to come down to the what should we do here kind of things. So now, again, it's just improving. And the coaches that are the best are the ones that see where they personally are shorthanded, where the team is shorthanded, and address those issues in a realistic fashion and don't go, well, that's not that big a deal. They approach everything, okay, why is this thing broken? We'll fix it this way.
Surround yourself with people that sometimes are even smarter than you, that you could rely on and trust, and just learn from them and they learn from you. And now, anyone watch Saturday Night Live? I haven't watched Saturday Night Live probably once since it began. I just never was always a Saturday Night Live. Nothing in particular, just never did. There was a skit with a fake Michael Irvin on the set, and of course it was about him. He was all jacked up and pumped up, and it was funny. He's been on the sideline with the A&M game and on the sideline as they have now gotten to this point. He was asked, Mario Cristobal, Miami's head coach, about the kiss that he received from Michael Irvin after winning their last playoff game.
Michael Irvin actually kissed you on national TV.
It's on the cheek, by the way, so we all.
Have you sat down with Michael Irvin and set some boundaries, or as long as you're winning, Michael Irvin can do whatever he wants to do?
I'd rather not get kissed by Michael Irvin. He was a great teammate. In fact, he was one of the kind of hosts on when I was on an official visit at the University of Miami. Look, that was a day and age that I don't know if it'll ever be duplicated, and I say it all the time. Like, I'm a nobody. I'm a local kid that, by the grace of God, Gary Stevens believed in my brother and I and brought us over to the University of Miami, and Jimmy Johnson gave us a scholarship. And again, it changed everything. But I went to practices all the time, and I was so attracted to that brotherhood. Like, I wanted to be one of those dogs. Those guys were dogs. Those guys were competitors. They were relentless. And I wanted to be part of it. I just didn't know if I was ever going to be good enough. So I was excited, but I was terrified. And I soon learned that once you were part of that brotherhood, you're forever different. And I think unless you're a Miami Hurricane, that's hard to understand. So seeing all these guys come back, and not just the Hall of Famers and the popular guys, but the third and fourth string guy that maybe never got a chance to play but is doing so well in life and has an awesome family. Seeing all these guys come back, and after 20 years of, not being around and really not, having the support that Miami needed, I think it's awesome. Our players love seeing them. They know, that coach is coach, and that the whole kiss thing, man, I'm never going to live that down. But look, man, that guy's a brother to me. So are all those guys. So we're very honored and fortunate to have them with us for the ride.
So that was Mario Cristobal responding to the Michael Irvin kiss, who, he's a character now. He is full throttle. And sometimes during his life, because of a lot of things that he put himself into, making himself full throttle. But you always hear about Aikman and them. They talk about how Irvin, Emmett, and Aikman were the strongest, hardest working people within the team. And they were three of the greatest players ever to wear a Cowboys uniform. But Mario Cristobal, I love the way he answered that, but then he talked about how they were dogs, and he was a part of the brotherhood, and how that is something that no matter what happens tonight, that he's a part of an incredible time with a bunch of great players.
Yeah, I mean, the Irvin thing is totally Michael Irvin. I mean, to be wrapped up with Irvin on the sidelines after some big moments, I'm surprised, like, kissing's where it's like, it's just like, I'm surprised he wasn't popping champagne bottles and strippers weren't out in the excess that you think of when you think of Miami. The little kiss is, I guess, probably pretty tame for Michael Irvin standards, probably. But it's cool to see the former guys having the opportunity to really relish this, even though they were kind of the villains in a lot of ways during their run. I think with Miami at the forefront of national attention, and Irvin a big part of getting that lifted off, and then Lewis and others continuing that on. It's been a lot different seeing those guys when Miami's this good on those sidelines versus when Miami was just kind of middling and not really top of mind for a lot of people, and they're on the sidelines. So, yeah, they've been back in the spotlight. The whole U itself has been very much back in the spotlight, and to see a lot of those former players being able to enjoy this is pretty cool, just like it would be at a lot of other institutions. They're just so high profile down there. So, yeah, it's always a roller coaster when you're dealing with Michael Irvin. But, man, he's having like a renaissance himself now. He's got his little Netflix podcast coming out, and Miami's playing for a national title. And
I didn't realize that they went and bought the actual house or rented it to do the podcast in. I just thought it was the name.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't know that either.
No, they're doing the actual.
Did Michael never sell it? Did he just keep it in the fold this whole time?
It was. But, yeah, the promo I saw was him, like washing off the driveway in the house.
Well, it was either him or I guess, did he own the house? I thought back then.
I think Nate and a few others probably chipped in a little bit.
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, he's having a little bit of a renaissance moment, but I'm sure he would love I mean, there's nothing that would take over probably his desire to watch Miami win a national title tonight versus just about anybody out there. I mean, that guy loves his Canes. He's been there. There are a lot of good and bad, and I think for the U folks, I mean, tonight's a return to glory, whereas for Indiana, it's this first-time feeling and the start of something. I mean, for Miami, this is their trip back to the mountaintop, and so it's a big night for both programs, but it has been kind of cool to see the U back in the spotlight, especially for a team that almost didn't even get into this thing to begin with, and they might be the best team when it's all said and done. So it's cool to hear Cristobal talk about that, because I don't really think you know unless you were a part of it, no matter how many documentaries are done or how much you see those guys out and about. Not being a part of those practices in the trenches, you can't really fully appreciate it. So I can only imagine how special it is for those guys to not only be back on the sidelines for games like this, but to see one of their own guys bringing them there and leading them there has got to be just an ultra cool feeling for Michael and Ray and all those guys.
Kelvin Harris, who we had on, talk about bringing that back, that confidence back. Was it Malik Zaire, the former Notre Dame quarterback, who popped off about when the rankings came out for the playoff, and Kelvin Harris went at him hard about how many games they won, championships they won, and all since Notre Dame in '88. Yeah. They have a pride factor. They haven't been able to pop that out much, but, man, they're starting to get that back. And, of course, they can lose tonight, and still that momentum is there.
Yeah. Malik Zaire, famous national championship winning quarterback, right?
Yeah.
No. I do have a question. We got to rewind to something he said. Michael Irvin was one of his hosts on his recruiting visit.
Oh, man.
Would you want that to happen? Would you not want that to happen? And if you say yes, you want it to happen, you have to really look inside yourself and say, can I hang with what's about to happen? And not just the fun stuff, because I'm sure Michael Irvin does that thing where you're going to come into practice, you're going to see him going nuts. He's going to tell you how hard you're going to work. And then afterwards, you have to run with him until 4 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, work hard, play hard.
Yeah, Kelvin mentioned how they would go out and they'd go straight to practice when they got up. They didn't even get up the next morning.
That's the old Canes for you. And so I think as far as that goes, I mean, that'd be the perfect guy to show you if you really want to be a Cane or not. I mean, is this lifestyle for you? This is how we do it down here. So, yeah, I think if you're a big-time player and you were maybe persuaded to go pursue the U, then having Michael Irvin show you around, show you what it's really like to be a Cane was a big, all right, yep, this is for me, or nope, I can't do this for my college career. Like, it's fun for a weekend, but I can't imagine doing this all the time or this being the lifestyle. So I think that was a good weeding out of probably some U recruits, was seeing that they could hang with Michael Irvin back then or not.
Miami, if they win tonight, will be their first win against an AP number 1 ranked team since they beat Florida State in 2000. Miami has lost 7 of their last 8 matchups against the AP number 1 ranked team after they won 8 straight from 1981 to 1991. That's the kind of tear that they were on during that decade. Now, one other note. Cignetti and Cristobal. Brandon, let's use the one about the Secret Service with Mario Cristobal. He had a time in his life where it didn't look like coaching was going to be a part of what he did, which he's now on the verge. He's playing a national championship game tonight, and what he's done at Miami. And I did not know this, that at one point in his life, he had to eventually choose between coaching football, whatever level, and also being a part of the Secret Service.
Describe how tormented you were internally when you kept thinking about your love of football, and what was that moment like when you finally decided you were going to chase that dream?
I mean, it was something that I always kind of envisioned myself doing, being working for the federal government. I loved every aspect of it. My family's always been in law enforcement, right? Law enforcement, teachers, construction workers. It's kind of what you do. Come to this country, take 2 jobs, go to night school. Not me, my parents, obviously, but I wanted to be in, and I honestly took the GA job hoping that I could coach one day, but not knowing, it's almost like, man, I'll never have a shot to do so. And once you're in, you get your first taste of it, and back then there was only 1 GA. Now there's 44 analysts on each side of the ball. Back then you had to do every card, right, done every single ounce of film. And making about $1.70 an hour, working 22-hour days, and a glutton for punishment. I loved it. And I remember being at the Gator Bowl with a bunch of the players, young, you might know these names, Reggie Wayne, Santana Moss, Ed Reed, those guys were young pups. And, you know, back then didn't have a cell phone, got a pager, right? Boom, call so-and-so, you know, special agent, assistant to a special agent, Secret Service, Miami, for your appointment to come on in and join. And that's when it hit you like, whoa. But slept on it. I woke up in a panic. I love football. I've always loved football. Didn't really play it for anybody else or want it for anybody. I just loved it. And I wasn't willing to let that opportunity go again. So by the grace of God, I was able to move my stuff back in my GA office. Butch Davis, Larry Coker took me back and gave me the opportunity.
It's weird, and great stories, background stories about so much to do with both programs. And, of course, Indiana, no longer Cinderella, but in a way they still are because of where they have been for so long, is absolutely the losingest program in college football history and on the cusp of something that a lot of the great programs have never accomplished, winning the national title.
Yeah, it's a very cool story, and I think to be able to do it against a program like Miami, I mean, maybe Alabama or Notre Dame would have been as fitting to potentially climb this mountaintop and to beat to get to the apex of it all. But, yeah, it's a fantastic story, and I know one that they're not trying to lean too hard into at this point because the story is not over, and there's plenty of time, as we started off this segment talking about, to retell the fairy tale when it's all over. But first you need to ensure the happy ending, and that'll come later on tonight. But they've been such a good story that they're not Cinderella at this point. I mean, they're the overwhelming favorites to win this game, and they've been overwhelming favorites to win all of these games up to this point. So, yeah, it's cute old Indiana, but I can see where after tonight we start to hate them in pretty quick fashion, right? All of a sudden Cignetti starts rubbing people the wrong way or whatever. When you're winning, people turn on you. So, yeah, for right now, they're a cool story. Win some, and let's see if people are still embracing them the same way. But for right now, it's been great, and yet you can't get too caught up in that if you're them because, again, you've got to finish the story. So at the same time, while that's been going on, it's been just really kind of strange in a good way to keep reminding myself and keep realizing that we're talking about Indiana. Like every time it's Indiana. Like, what? This isn't basketball. Hell, Indiana hadn't been good in basketball most of my life. Like, I hear all this stuff. It's from when I was a kid. Hell, I'm old as hell now, and I'm hearing all these tales about how great Indiana basketball was. I haven't seen that for half of my life. So for me, it's just really unique, and I think for a lot of people, just really kind of cool to see somebody new. And when we were asking these questions back during realignment a couple years ago and the playoff expansion and the never-ending conversation that is, will this open the doors to new teams, or will this basically block anybody who ever had a whiff of a chance from ever being able to compete for it again? And I think the fear was that the Alabamas and the Miamis and the Ohio States would just gobble up even more territory. And as it turns out, when you let everybody spend money or everybody's on the up and up with it, that, hell yeah, Indiana can have something to say about this, or Texas Tech can have something to say about this, or maybe BYU down the line has something to say about it. So I think it's been cool to see this realization of not only a new team, but also like this is the norm now. Like in Indiana getting into the playoff, it may not happen every year, but this is going to become more common. And we're going to see if the dividends pay off for Texas Tech ultimately, like as I just mentioned. But there's going to be more schools that are inspired by this than turned away by it. And so it's going to be really fun to see what other teams kind of join the fray and up in the status quo here. But while it's a great story, if they lose tonight, then it's not nearly as good of a story. It's not nearly as good of a story.
It's like, yeah, it's a good story, and that doesn't mean it's
George Mason going and playing for the national title or whatever, right? It's like, oh, yeah, that was cute. They got to the final. Did they play for the national title?
George Mason?
No. Who was it they got to one of the smaller schools that got to the title? I feel like.
Butler did.
Okay, it's like Butler. It's like, hey, that's a cool story, but it would have been way cooler if they actually won the title,
right? Yeah,
because
NC State and Jimmy Valvano will always be remembered for his celebration after winning it. Had they lost that game to Houston, it would have been just a fun story.
We might not even know Jimmy Valvano. Yeah. I mean, honestly, he'd probably be a great cancer spokesperson or along the lines of what he ended up becoming, but is it at the same level, if not for that? No, probably not, because that puts you on such a stage. But, yeah, I mean, that's the thing about it all is And to Kurt Signetti's point, reminiscing about it and doing all that, like, hell, if you don't finish the job tonight, then you're the greatest Indiana team ever, but you're not one of the greatest teams of all time.
No.
You fell short.
Yep.
And this actually ends up being a season that went from incredible to kind of leaves you wanting more at the end of it somehow or another, crazily enough. So, yeah, it's a fun story for right now, but they got to finish the job over there on that side. And for Miami, it's a great story. They're back and everything, but if they fall short, same thing. It'll be, hey, 20-something years since they last won their national title, and will they ever get back to this point?
And you just never know when you slide. Sometimes even if you slide into oblivion or you just don't have the traction, and you got close. And that's why when you win it, man, you embellish, you embrace it, cherish it, and enjoy it as much as you possibly can.
Although now that I know that Mark Cristobal wanted to be a Secret Service agent, I think he looks more like a Secret Service agent than a football coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, clearly that man loves some adrenaline rushes and loves the heat of battle and loves loves being a part of a team. And that would have been a really interesting career path taken for him, but he's done well for himself.
He's a big man.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I enjoyed the hell. Sometimes you get these audio things, but I sat down and listened and watched that, and I enjoyed picking and choosing some spots in it to share with you. Now, we will discuss the NFL postseason, which is now into the conference championship round in the next segment. But I want to get to a couple other things. Excuse me. The college football playoff discussion about, do they stay at 12? They don't want to. Who's they? Well, the Big Ten wants to go to 24. The SEC wants to go to 16. Others aren't so sure. But they met. Yep, they met over the weekend. And let's skip that one. That's about the salary cap. That's about the house settlement. The other ones we have, Brandon, if you don't mind. So after the meeting, which no decision was made, remember they pushed back the deadline from earlier to this week, Friday. And if they don't have anything decided by Friday, it'll be 12. And I'm good with that. So Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner, walking out of the meeting, and Ross Dellinger was all over this as always, who was on with us last week. Tony Petitti on expansion of the college football playoff, still more work to do. Let me go through a couple of these quotes. Tim Pernetti from the AAC and Brett Yormark from the Big 12, they walked out of the college football expansion discussions and basically said everything right now is on hold. And so Rich Clark, who's the executive director, the former general, said, we are not pushing this deadline. We're not going to extend it again. There's Pernetti with still more work to do, not done working. That's up to two people in the room, the SEC and the Big Ten. And then Rich Clark said, if there's nothing done by Friday, we're not moving it back another 2 or 3 days or a week. It will remain at 12 for another year.
Yeah, and I mean, you can mention Brett Yormark and Pernetti and whoever else, but there's two people making this decision.
Yep. Well, that's what Pernetti. Let's put that quote up by Pernetti again.
So, Yormark's comments are great and Pernetti's comments great or whatever, but I mean, it's the two main commissioners that are making this decision, and yeah, they want different things right now. So, let's hope that Greg Sankey gets his way, which I don't think I've said that very often, but I know we're going to expand either way. I would much rather it be 16 teams and you keep it pretty even versus this 24 nonsense that I think absolutely sucks. And yeah, cool. Houston would have made the playoff last year. Was Houston a good team? Houston was a really good team. Did they need to be in the playoff? I mean, honestly, probably not. I mean, and I don't mean to pick on the Cougs because I have as much respect for the Cougs as anybody nationally. But at some point, I don't think that just everybody needs to be involved and we need the fourth team from every single league, which is what it would be under Pernetti, to be the route that we go down. I mean, talk about diluting bowl games and whatnot. I think, the argument would be, well, now their Texas Bowl last year versus LSU is a playoff game. It's like, yeah, but I don't know, man. I think 24 sucks. I think it's the slitting of the throat of the regular season in a lot of ways. And you might already say they were down on their knees and they were bleeding and you just waiting for the fatal blow. I feel like 24 is the fatal blow to the regular season mattering anything close to what it's typically mattered. I think 16 still makes some logical sense and it gets rid of the first round buys and it just makes everything cleaner and easier With the 24, I just think it's almost the entire top 25 playing for the playoff. We don't need that. But I know that the gamblers probably want that. I know the TV networks probably want that. And I'm sure the SEC and the Big Ten, clearly they both want more teams. It's just a matter of one of them wants another 8 so that he can get his automatic 4 plus probably a couple of others. So, yeah, I mean, hey, a bunch of people that are selfish and greedy and driven by self-interest can't get along on the same page. I don't think that's surprising whatsoever. I don't think it's surprising that they're bumping up against the deadline. I don't think it'll be surprising if they go past the deadline. And I don't give a damn if we stay at 12 for a while because I feel like this year's actually worked out pretty well. I think there's much bigger concerns than the size of the playoff at hand. But I also know that's the moneymaker, so that's what everybody's obsessed with. But, this also as well is just they always, in a lot of these cases, it's, oh my God, what if they don't get to agreement? It's like, who cares if they don't? Whatever. It's not panic time. The sport will go on. The playoff will go on. Nothing really changes except for a change to the playoff. So I'm not concerned about them getting to the end of the week and, oh my God, what happens if they don't reach an agreement? Well, we just keep doing what we've been doing and the world still rotates on its axis. But nothing's going to crater if we don't accomplish this, except for maybe the SEC and Big Ten relationship that seemed to be very cold at one point, then got really warm once they realized, hey, we're the two that actually have any say whatsoever on this. But now that they have to actually go against each other's self-interest, now they've realized, oh, we're still enemies and we want different things. And so now, these two are the ones that are going to be fighting it out for whatever we do next. And if that takes them a year or two to figure out, then I'm totally fine with that. Again, there's way too much panic reporting going on these days that I feel like everything's oh my God, if we don't do this, well, okay, if we don't, then it's fine. I would like to see the 16 versus the 24 for what it's worth. I think 24, if we have to make a move, and that we will, it's going to be one or the other, then I just think 24 is way too many. I just think it's ridiculous and over the top.
I don't think, unless it's from the Big Ten commissioner or whatever, I have not seen one person say, I like that idea, the 24. If they don't approve it and it stays at 12, I'll be happy. The problem is they're going to have to go back again and meet 8 times before they decide what they're going to do after 2026. And that's right. Enjoy what we have while we have it.
Let them keep fighting. Keep fighting. Keep fighting.
Why do we care? Honestly.
Keep fighting. Keep it at 12.
I'll tell you why. And I know this shouldn't annoy me, but it's just because if when things are said about it, you have to discuss it. Because it's the future of college football. Yeah. And I'm sick and tired of people not being able to make a decision, live with it, and let it play itself out more than just 1 year at a time.
Or they can just sit back and say, hey, isn't this 12 kind of cool? Doesn't it work out well?
This is not
enough.
bad.
It's not enough. It's never enough. We need
ratings
more.
Are higher than ever before, although I know they had a couple of games here and there. But we need to break to get to the next. Go ahead.
The only thing they know how to do is overstuff things. So eventually, it's like a sandwich. Eventually, you make a sandwich too big, and you have to eat it with a fork. Then what's the point of the sandwich?
Wait a minute. You'd have to have a knife and fork, right?
Yeah, you got to eat it with utensils. The point of the sandwich is you pick it up and you eat it.
Yeah.
But if you make it so big, you have to.
Yeah, no, you have to maneuver it.
Yeah. So, well, there's a screen cap for the show from here on out.
Yeah, get that picture, Andrew.
Go ahead and get that, Andrew. I'm gonna use that.
When we come back, just a nugget or two. Another coach in the NFL fired from one of the most successful teams, but they can't get over the hump with one of the, if not the best player in the league. What's happening with Bo Nix being replaced by former Auburn and for 1 year Baylor quarterback Jarrett Stidham? All of that's next. This is 365 Sports. And Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Ted Teague, the general manager and CEO. Alan Samuels on the Loop 340 and east of 84 in Waco. How about this? The 2025 Ram 1500s at Alan Samuels in Waco. Best-selling, hardest-working trucks qualify for 3.9% financing plus 10% off MSRP and even extra dealer discounts depending on the truck you choose. Inventory is every day going to get a little bit less, so take advantage of that. Also, the brand new 2026 Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab, $12,000 off MSRP. That's a big chunk of money. Or choose 0% financing plus $7,500 off with premium comfort, commanding power, unbelievable value with one unstoppable truck. And the Ram trucks are always honored year after year by those who look at the trucks as they are being produced. Also, get a brand new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sahara, $9,000 off. 2025 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon, $12,000 off. And a fully loaded 2025 Ram 3/4 ton limited slashed by $14,000 off at Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Loop, 340 and east of 84 in Waco.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
When you play hard, sometimes you fall hard. Sports injuries require special treatment. At Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, our team of expert doctors provides athletes and active adults with comprehensive sports medicine care, diagnostics. Whether you're in high school, college, or beyond, we'll help you get back on the field. Call on the team physicians for Baylor Athletics. Call Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics.
This is 365 Sports.
365 Sports, Phil Bennett around the corner to give us some X's and O's and what he sees with Miami and Indiana tonight. Kickoff in a little less than 2 hours. Oh, there's Paul. Great screen grab, Brandon, Andrew. Paul, were you trying to swallow a New York deli sandwich?
Yeah, probably. That was the thing. The reason I told them not to do this is that now we are inviting what is going to be a nightmare for me. I said that we should let the people who want to do the awful thing they want to do make the effort themselves, so maybe they give up, not just feed it to them, guys.
Here we go. There's Paul. All right, NFL playoffs. Buffalo, they fall short again. Josh Allen was not good at all. His head coach has been fired, and this was a bad day for Josh Allen in Buffalo, and just a matter, a matter of time. You cannot have Josh Allen as your quarterback and not get to a Super Bowl.
Well, they've got to get to Dan Marino only got to one. It's hard to do,
but he did it early.
Yeah. Here's the other thing that was weird. Brandon Beane, the GM, who has not gotten him a number one wide receiver.
No.
And sadly, they've so far whiffed on Keon Coleman. I would assume that they might get in the mix for A.J. Brown if he becomes available. But A.J. Brown's one of those guys you got like 2 or 3 years with, so you better make it count. And then I think he's going to kind of get restless, to put it politely. But I think that Brandon Beane has to take some responsibility here. However, he got promoted. He's the team president, and they're going to hire a new GM now, so maybe that will change some things up. very curious to see where they go. Does Joe Brady stay on? Does he become the head coach? He's played well under Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator. The Bills kind of had it better than they've had it as an open pathway. But let's not sell the Broncos short. They were the number one seed for a reason. Bo Nix was really good all year. We won't see him again because he broke his ankle in overtime. So that's a bit of a bummer for them. But Jared Stidham, this is going to be a story.
Lamar Jackson's gone. Mahomes didn't play much this year. He's out of the picture, and you can't get it. Listen, it's hard to win. Denver's really good on the road. That's why they're the number one seed. But, man, the Buffalo had 5 turnovers in this game. It was amazing they were a part of it in the end, but they can't pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, that's the deal. All those turnovers, I think you see that pretty clearly as being the issue. Same thing for the Bears last night. I mean, that's what prevented them from being able to move on to another round. So, yeah, can't be turning the ball over like that. And as the brother of a massive Josh Allen fan and a brother-in-law of a massive Josh Allen fan, I feel for my sister and her husband who would love nothing more than to see him reach the mountaintop like Indiana and Miami are trying to do later on the night. But, man, it's just not in the cards right now, and you wonder when and if it will be because he's still young, but we were saying that like 6 years ago. Right now it's like another 6 years have gone by, and you're like, well, he's still young, but next thing you know, it's going to be another 6 years, and he's not going to be young anymore, and he's not going to have won a Super Bowl still, and he's going to be one of those big what-ifs. But, yeah, I hated that Terrell Bernard didn't get to play in that game, our buddy, because he was injured. But it was a hell of a game. Then the Bo Nix news coming out, yeah, that's a bummer. And I can't imagine what it was like for a Broncos fan to go from such elation to then shortly after being told that your starting quarterback's not going to miss the rest of the season. That's brutal, but it was a great win. It was a really fun and entertaining game for somebody to have a dog in the fight. But, yeah, I think you start to wonder about Josh Allen and just when and if, because this, like you said, was the year to do it with no Chiefs or Mahomes in your way. And, hey, not even Lamar Jackson's in your way, but Bo Nix was, and the Broncos defense was, and Sean Payton, that man can coach. That man can absolutely coach. A great job he's done in turning the Broncos around. So, yeah, really entertained by that game, but a little bit bummed out for the Josh Allen narrative for sure.
So there we are, Buffalo with a change. They're looking for a new head coach, and Josh Allen emotional, crying in the post game.
I think you had to, though. Like at this point, what else can you change?
Yeah,
I think he's a great coach, but you're kind of just pounding on the door over and over again. Nobody's answering. At some point, somebody else will be knocking on the door for you. And I think they've been in this situation enough times where it's like, all right, we've seen this. Like we've seen them, I think, exhaust their ability under this leadership. We have to, before Josh is 37 years old, we have to just see if there's a shakeup that can make this thing get over the top here.
I know a lot of focus is going to be on that Brandon Cooks catch, interception, whatever it was.
Sure.
Especially
I felt like that was
especially since a very, very, very similar thing happened in the game with the Rams and the Bears last night with Devontae Adams, and it was called a different way.
Yeah, but no one came back. No one came down with the ball at all other than Adams.
Yes. So that hurts. But the bigger thing is you shouldn't put yourself on the fact where you need a miracle throw to Brandon Cooks, a miracle catch, a weird thing not to happen in the transfer, and we get into the whole what's a catch and when does it stop rule. If you don't turn the ball over repeatedly, that's what the problem was.
He was very careless.
Turning the ball over.
He was careless.
And they have to fix that. They had a great year with running the ball in James Cook this year, but they need to get him. They've got a great tight end in Dalton Kincaid and another really solid one in Dawson Knox. And they've got a bunch of number 2 wide receivers, but they need
They had
alpha.
one. They had Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. And then he got hurt, traded, and all these
became
other
kind of all right. Now,
yeah, that's
the Bo Nix.
That's brutal, though, for Josh Allen to have that many turnovers. I mean, that's the other thing is like, now, buddy, it's on you. Like, this isn't Sean McDermott who is the scapegoat any longer. Like, now it's just you. You are the face of the franchise all by your lonesome. So, yeah, the next time you're in that position, can't have 4 turnovers in a single game. Yeah, that was brutal for the Josh Allen fans out there.
And Bo Nix, they win. And in overtime, he broke a bone and broke his ankle and still finished the game went over to Sean Payton, who then said in the postgame press, he came walking in, he goes, hey, this is not good news. He's out. And Jarrett Stidham from Stephenville High School is now going to start. He's taken one snap this year, and he took a knee at the end of a game. He gets the start. He played with New England. He was there for a little bit, played with Las Vegas, I think, for a year, and now with Denver, he'll start in that championship game.
He hasn't thrown a pass in a game since 23 or 22. I can't remember what it is, but it's been a long time, and Sean Payton's going to earn it. But look, this is a Nick Foles situation again, although less time for the run-up. It's AFC title game and then potentially Super Bowl if you get past Drake May and the Pats next week. So it'll be very, very interesting.
So Bo Nick's out. Jarrett Stidham, what a story that was after a couple of years at Auburn. My buddy Eric Horton's a huge Auburn fan, and he loves Bo Nix, hates that Auburn got rid of him in the first place. And here we are with Stidham now as the backup. Also, how about the Caleb Williams throw last night to tie the game, but lost in the end to the Rams? But the 51 yards from how long the ball was in the air, how many yards the ball was in the air on a miracle throw, which he does that about once a game.
Dear Bears, don't mess this up. You finally have a superstar quarterback, which has not happened for the Bears to have a superstar with unlimited potential since Sid Luckman. And that was a long time ago.
Yes, very long time
Most
ago.
of the people who saw Sid Luckman play in games are dead now. That is a very, very, very long time ago. Caleb Williams is something they've never had in Chicago. It's one of the worst QB histories in the history of the NFL. Their best seasons are with guys who were 1 or 2 year off, whether it's McMahon or Harbaugh or Rex Grossman, had a couple of good years but weren't Hall of Famers, weren't superstars. Caleb Williams is a superstar, but and I guess maybe it's because we do so much college football. All I kept thinking during that game last night watching Caleb Williams was Oklahoma fans like Craig going, Lincoln Riley could have just had all this in Norman, but instead he thought that it was, he wanted to go to the beach. But either way, Caleb Williams is a stud. It stinks that the Bears lost that game last night because I was kind of really rooting for him. But the Rams and Matthew Stafford, what a ridiculous year he's had. Sean McVay's my favorite coach in the NFL, and I think he's going to win a bunch of Super Bowls, and this year might be another one of them.
Yeah, but Caleb Williams wears fingernail polish, so he can't play quarterback at a high level. I think that's how I remember reading it a few times over the last few years. But he wears fingernail polish, and he acts kind of girly, so he can't win football games, right? Caleb Williams is the star that I thought he would always be because the dude's just got an ability to make some insane plays out of absolute nowhere. But he also had the turnovers last night that were a big bugaboo in a game you lost by 3 in overtime, much like Josh Allen and the Bills. Can't turn the ball over that many times, and Caleb Williams did it all right there at the start of that game and really put them in quite a bit of a pickle that really wasn't that much of a pickle because they weren't in a hole somehow, surprisingly, despite all of that. And, fell short ultimately, but the future is very bright there. And, the thing about Oklahoma, Paul, I get, there's a lot of Sooner fans that are still hung up on Lincoln Riley. I'm not one of them. But he did take Caleb Williams to Los Angeles and win a Heisman Trophy. So, I don't know what he could have had in Oklahoma other than a playoff team that's any different than what he still had there. But I get that, Caleb Williams is a star. I'm not surprised that he's playing like a star. The turnovers were a massive issue for them, but the Bears are back, and the Bears are relevant, and the Bears are cool, and it was really awesome to see that scene and then suddenly realize, we're not going to have these cold weather games in Chicago here in the next few years because they're going to build their new stadium, and it's going to be enclosed, and we're not going to have these moments of people with their balaclavas on trying to just survive basically like we had last night. So I really took a moment to appreciate that crowd last night because we're not going to have a lot of crowds like that. Even Cleveland's going indoors. Chicago's going indoors. They're all going indoors. So we're not going to have those types of atmospheres with people blowing smoke because it's so cold outside. That was something completely beside the point that I really absorbed last night. The game itself was really entertaining. And, Caleb Williams is the real deal, but the Rams were a better team.
Andrew Billings That big young man in the middle is no longer just a young man. He's a veteran. 2016 fourth-round pick by the Bengals is a major part of that Bears defense. And hoping for his sake that he had a chance to play in the championship game, as you mentioned, with Terrell Bernard not playing for the Bills. Petrie last night and Texans losing as well, so that's out for him.
Don't leave out our old friend from Belton, Texas, Durham Smythe.
The tight end,
plays for the Bears as well. He's the third tight end. He plays a lot.
So Bo Nick, Stidham, Josh Allen, Sean McDermott fired, Caleb Williams. I know that there were other things going on. Obviously, C.J. Stroud was awful.
Houston's defense is awesome. C.J. Stroud
He was
absolutely
awful.
sucks.
I
Has
hated
sucked for
it.
weeks
Awful.
now. And the other quarterbacks, obviously, that we talked about, Josh Allen, Caleb Williams, didn't have great days either, but at least they knew. At least it looked like they knew what they were doing at times. Whereas with C.J. Stroud, I don't know, man. I felt like you wanted to just shake him and just be like, "Wake up, dude! Like what? Like focus."
Yeah,
man.
Where did the U of 2 years ago go?
Yeah,
Right.
Well, they got to stop writing that. He's no longer that player.
Actually, maybe I was thinking of him with all the interceptions at the beginning, or was that spaced out in both those games that way?
He's been in a bad stretch.
Caleb Williams, were those all early on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So they both had situations.
Well, he had
like
the one
that.
at the end. He had the one at the end in overtime. That was the death.
I think I was thinking actually more of C.J. Stroud and the interception after interception after interception. Like it just felt like watching it.
It was awful. The one he threw it up like a duck hunting. David VU 3394. The issue with Caleb, he makes the easy throw look hard and the hard throws look easy.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. Yeah, he's super talented, but you're right. He's not sans criticism by any means, but he is such a talent and can do some pretty incredible things. Unfortunately, there is a downside to that, and you put it very succinctly. So, I agree with that.
Phil Bennett around the corner. We'll have, of course, the quizzes, the polls, the top five, and more. And then after the main show says goodnight for at least now, we'll have what we call 365 Sports Overtime that we're just going to run for a test drive soon after that. That won't go long, but get some feedback from you and answer it on the show as well. This is 365 Sports. Ideal, MRI.com in the Central Texas marketplace off I-35 in Waco. And if your doctor, I've had a bad left shoulder really since I was a senior in high school, where I had, like a fractured collarbone and stinger and all that stuff. I never really got it fixed, and I thought everything was fine. It's starting to bother me again. I'm too old to have any kind of surgery like that. But there's a temptation for me to get an MRI to look at it and have Dr. Haynes at Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine say, I think we could just do arthroscopic surgery and fix that up. But if I go anywhere and if he does anything, it's going to be with Ideal MRI. State-of-the-art imaging machine that I've been in 4 times, and maybe it's about to be 5, to find out, is it a muscle, is it a tear, is it a ligament, or both? They know. They'll get the doctor the images that he or she need. And here's the other part that's so good is it's $497 or less every single time. They'll find out what is hurting you, shutting you down. You can't sleep at night. You're tired of being aches and pains. More than that at idealmri.com. Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, At Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. At TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, Your Bank for Life.
UBO Business Services. We are a studies-based service organization that is the best in Texas when it comes to copiers, printers, and scanners. The way we quantify that is through a company used by millions of corporations called Net Promoter Score. What Net Promoter Score looks at are your Google reviews. We have a better Net Promoter Score than H-E-B with a 65 and Ritz-Carlton Hotels with a 70. According to Net Promoter Score, if you're a 70 or above, you're considered world-class in customer service. UBO Business Services is an 86 when it comes to Net Promoter Score. You can find us at ubeo.com, ubeo.com.
This is 365 Sports.
Closing in about an hour and a half away from the national championship game, Indiana-Miami. And, of course, we'll have full discussion on it tomorrow, 365 Sports, when we open it up at 3 o'clock. Don't forget that 1 o'clock Central Time, Zach Gelb is doing his show between 1 and around 2:45 Central as well. And that, of course, also here on 365 Sports. Waiting on Coach Phil Bennett to join us here in just a moment. There was one other, really, really great news on Jordan Shipley, the former Texas wide receiver who was involved in a horrible accident at his ranch and was burned severely. And in a matter of a couple of weeks or so, got note from his wife through his, I guess, sister, that he has made dramatic recovery and still a lot of work to be done. I mean, he had burns everywhere, but that Jordan Shipley is in a lot better spot, although still a long way to go. Phil Bennett, longtime college football coach, joins us. And, man, it's the last game, Phil. It's it. Indiana and Miami.
What a year, huh?
149 days since Iowa State, K-State played in Ireland. And here we are with this game tonight. As we've had another week go by, of course, like waiting and let's get to the game. Anything change in your opinion about this game tonight?
I keep flip-flopping on Indiana's dominance through the playoffs, but I have this gut feeling, Smokey, that Miami is a destination team. For them to end up playing in Hard Rock, their home stadium, everything falling, they haven't been overly impressive in any game, but yet they do enough to win. I'm going to go Miami.
Phil, how much of that is Miami has a tremendous size advantage on Indiana up front on both sides?
I did not know the size advantage. I'm being honest there, Paul. I know this. I know Mario likes them big and he likes them physical. The thing that I love about Indiana is they are a fast twitch team on every aspect: offense, defense, special teams. First play of the game with the Oregon, that little corner jumped that route and it was over. So it will be probably, like you said, a quickness versus the mass power game.
As a coach, who do you know better of the two? As a coach, who would you be most excited for to win a title later tonight?
Kurt's brother was our offensive coordinator at Pitt when I was there, Frank Signetti. His older brother. And Kurt, I've known Kurt since he coached at Rice. Always liked him. I know Mario also. We were, when he was at Oregon, he still used to tell me, he said, I can't believe Arizona State beat us. We knew, and he had a first-round draft pick. Both of them are outstanding coaches. They love the game of football. And I think that both have grown as coaches. I look at Mario, and Mario has been criticized about game management. I think he has people now that help him with it, and he's gotten better at it.
How you have to be excited that you're in this game. Obviously, there's only 2 teams left out of 130 something at FBS or whatever. But how much do you get beat down with these constant press conferences over what has it been over a week now?
You could just watch both, and they're sitting there that you can just see in their eyes. They're going, "Really? You're asking me the same old shit again? Same thing? Didn't you hear me last week?" But I was thinking about it. What a good feeling when you really think about it to have. Now, Nick Saban was on earlier today, and he said something, and it was really, I thought it was really well thought out and said. He said, you don't want to make this game too big for the kids. Whatever you did your first 15 games, stay in that schedule. Hey, this is what it's going to take, because that's the way they've got here. And he also said this, they're going to be asked, what does the national champion mean to Indiana? What does it mean to Miami? And he said, truthfully, it means you have a year to say, hey, we were the best in 2025, and we were national champions for a year. It's a belt you get to wear for a year, which is a great statement.
Phil, when you think about the hit, do you get romantic about history in either of these, where Miami would be great for them to get back on top, or Indiana, if they win this game, they would have won a 3rd bowl game this year that ties all the rest of the bowl games they've ever won all time?
Paul, I think this is a historic game for the reasons you just said, but also the way it's played out. You think about when it started, the big question was, should Miami even been in? They didn't win their conference. They weren't in the conference championship game. Indiana last year faded the first game, got dominated by Notre Dame, and they're saying, and then yet here they go. They just stonewall everybody that they play. So I think there's what they want with teams being even, with the portal. I think we're seeing teams that could beat anybody.
When you think of Miami and the U, where does your brain go when you're seeing Michael Irvin on the? I mean, Michael Irvin's been at games for the last several years. Ray Lewis, all these guys. It's now there's more attention on it, obviously, because of the position they're in. But when you think of the U and the U being back and all that, where does your brain go?
Craig, I worked for Dave Wanstead, and he was the defensive coordinator. And Jimmy Johnson used to come to Pittsburgh a lot. So I've heard just some great stories. And this is where I go with Miami is, and I've coached when I was at LSU and at Pittsburgh. I coached a lot of Florida kids, Florida high school players. The thing that sticks out, especially the Miami area kids, are so tough. I'm talking about uncanny ability, and they can be coached hard. And Jimmy Johnson used to say, going from Oklahoma State to Miami, he said, I was coaching babies. He said, I went to Miami and I coached men. And that's the thing that I see, that in happening with that. And Miami, they're grown men. Now, same thing with Indiana. Indiana, someone told me, I think, Smoak, did you say their average age on starters like 23?
Yeah, they're a very veteran-laden team. It just kind of all of a sudden people start looking for how come they're winning. And you start looking at, they've got some grown-ass men on that team, especially linemen.
Back to you, Craig. I think that when you think of the great players of Miami, obviously Michael was one of them, Benny Blades. They had guys that were trendsetters. Of course, the linebacker that's always at the game. But also you got Testaverde, Bernie Kosar. I mean, that became, and growing up, not growing up and coaching, I still remember the Nebraska game. You remember that, Smoak, when they played Nebraska? I mean,
do
that
I
was a
remember
huge
it?
game.
I'm cutting you off the damn show right now. When they went for two and they could have tied it, that game in '83, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Yeah. So, and they haven't been there. And I think that Mario has brought them back to this point. I think he's had a plan. It didn't always go right. And I think that's why you stick with people. I think people saw that the kind of kids that he was getting. And, you know, what a smart decision. I don't know how he'll play tonight. What a smart decision taking the Georgia quarterback. When Georgia had really told him, he said, you need to look somewhere else. What a good spin for both of them.
Yeah, and for him to walk into the end zone, which is the game winner, and seems to have you wonder if he would have just gone 8-4, 9-3, or lost in the first round. And yeah, he was pretty good. He won a couple of national titles, but he now puts a little extra something on that resume of his, no question.
That's exactly right. You know, when he played the year that Georgia lost to Alabama in the SEC championship, everybody in the league had him as a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year he comes back and gets hurt, and then everything starts going down. You know, I think tonight a big thing, too, talking about this game, is if it's a battle early and Indiana doesn't jump out on them like they've done, I think that's going to be so beneficial to Miami. But Indiana has, you know, in their games, they haven't wasted time. It's been, you know, we take the field, kicking ass, take names.
Phil, did you never coached against Miami back in those days at all?
You know, I did play Miami at Pitt. We had a Thursday night game, and we were actually better than them, I thought. I still say that, and they beat us. They sure did. Beat us in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field.
Coach, who do you like tonight?
I said this earlier, Craig. I think Miami I think they're a destiny champion. I do. But I also, on the flip side, I could see Indiana being explosive. But I just have a gut feeling that Miami has the it factor tonight.
Yeah, it's one of those games that they're favored by a touchdown or so, touchdown plus. If it's close at the second quarter, doesn't mean Indiana can't explode. But this one, it seemed like a lot of people are leaning now towards Miami as it's gotten away from watching Indiana bludgeon whoever they've played in the postseason, the couple of wins. So when you used to watch those Miami teams, 83 that won it, that turned into that run, we had an offensive lineman from 87 to 91, won 3 national titles, 56-4, beat the living, out of Texas in the Cotton Bowl.
Yes, they
laughed at them, made fun of them, had 20 penalties, and still won by 40.
Yes,
what were those, in your opinion, how just intimidating were those teams?
It's like I was saying earlier, those type of players they had, I mean, they were dynamic, they were athletic, and they had a mental and physical toughness that very few teams had. You know, Jimmy Johnson talked about, he said that they would start their first practice. He said that they would practice 4 hours. Said they would get out there and breaking up fights, and they said the competition between the offense and defense, hell, they talked about it got scary.
Players on those teams that won Super Bowls under Jimmy said that the hardest part for their season was practice.
Yeah,
it was. They had a couple of teams that could beat them, San Francisco, Washington, or whatever, but it was what they did during practice that sharpened them, and then they would go chill and win the game. All right. Hey, you have been wonderful to have throughout the football season again, and hope that it starts to warm up. You can go play golf, and I'll see you down there one of these days pretty soon.
I'm looking forward to having you back down.
I can't wait.
I've enjoyed all you guys, and it's been a fun season, and I'm looking forward to an outstanding game tonight.
Me too. I hope it's great.
Guys.
Thank you, Coach. Phil Bennett, the best Phil Bennett with us on 365 Sports. When we come back, Paul Catalina and his top 5. We'll have the quizzes. We'll have poll results. And then if you want, I know the game's about an hour or so away. We'll stick around and read some of your text messages and even chat room messages and maybe a phone call or two. We'll try to get to that as well with 365 Sports Overtime. This is 365 Sports. QC Kinetics, tell you about a company that I got to know back in September. Had heard a lot about them. And then I got a chance to sit down and have a consultation. Think about this. 40,000 people eventually said, stop, with all the possibility of any kind of surgery, whether it's arthroscopic surgery or more, or all of the injections in their back. How about QC Kinetics, where you now can start to enjoy your life? I feel so much better, and I have, not right away, although there was a little bit of relief. And then there was a second and third treatment that I had from QC Kinetics up in Dallas. I cannot explain. I was miserable on and off for about 5 years. And now with what they do, which is cellular level treatments to revitalize joint tissue naturally, tissue that can affect your hip or your back or your knee or your shoulder, it is working for me. QC Kinetics has been phenomenal for me. Advanced regenerative treatments, and it's working. Moving better, hurting less, and also getting my life physically back where it needs to be. The truth is, surgery isn't always the answer. QC Kinetics is right there in the Dallas and Houston market and elsewhere, using safe, natural treatments backed by real science, treatments that activate your body's natural healing power, safe, natural, non-surgical, and zero downtime. QC Kinetics, it will work faster than you think. It will work over time. It will make you feel better. Why would you not want that? It is working for me, and it's only been since September at QCkinetics.com.
During the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Drive a new Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with $13,000 off, or choose 0% financing. Get a new Laramie Crew Cab 4-wheel drive with 3.9% financing for 72 months, plus $15,000 off MSRP. Explore in a new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo, starting at $31,990. Happening now at Allen Samuels.
Come by, let's be friends.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome in to the Top 5. It's the first one of the week. I don't know why I'm talking in little, short, abrupt sentences. Maybe I'm just too excited to get out of this studio and go home and watch Indiana and Miami, but not too excited that I can't give you the top 5 of the upcoming college football headaches in 2026. Brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Use our promo code 365sports for a discount at checkout. See, that was the last pause. The rest of this, no more pauses. Right through. Number 5. What happens in the summertime when the guys at the bottom of the roster who did or didn't jump in the transfer portal, may have wind up at a new school, may have stayed at their other school, find out that they're not really wanted on this roster for that season, but they're kind of stuck on either side? Used to, you could just jump in the transfer portal right away and go ahead and sit out, and that might be what they do. But now that portal doesn't open at all until January. So there's going to be some sad and awkward talks that happen at the bottom of rosters this year. So we'll see what happens there. That's kind of a minor problem, but one of those things that it's got to kind of get cleaned up at the end. Number 4. The calendar debate. I used a sundial calendar here because that is basically what college football is on right now compared to what they need to be. They are out of whack with what everything has changed. And yes, it's hard. I don't really begrudge them for not changing the calendar yet, but it has maybe it should have been something they started at the beginning going, hey, we keep changing these things. Why don't we change the calendar and then change the things and then work it all together? But the calendar debate is coming. I don't think among coaches there'll be that much debate because I think they all think basically the same thing. It'll be minor adjustments. I think the real struggle will come with the leaders of college football and how much
they are going to be affected by whatever this calendar change is, but they have to make it better for everybody. It's not good for coaches. It's not good for schools. It's not even good for TV. And it's certainly not the best situation for the players either. So nobody is really winning here if you take away the large gobs of money that are being thrown around. And yes, large gobs of money can be very distracting and keep you from streamlining things because you're just rolling around in coins like Scrooge McDuck. But it does need to be fixed to streamline this process and take them to the next level. Number 3, the collective bargaining fight. This has taken a turn in the last year or so to where most college leaders that thought that this would never happen or should never happen realize that it has to. Otherwise, it's just going to be a constant court battle again and again and again and again. And if you want the CSC, the NCAA, or whatever enforcement arms you have to have any teeth, you're going to have to get all people involved to agree to them. That includes the players, that includes the boosters, that includes all of these things, the schools that are demanding rules, and then when the rule doesn't really fit how they're doing things, they just don't follow it because what recourse do they have? So the collective bargaining fight will continue, and this is going to be in every top 5 I do around this time until collective bargaining finally happens, which is probably sooner than it was before, but still not as close as it ideally would want to be. Number 2, eligibility battles. This is going to be the first part of the year, and then I think we're going to start seeing things move in a different direction. You've already seen the coaches recommend the redshirt rule go from 4 to 9, which I think will have some unintended consequences on their part, but we'll see. Although I do think it's the best way to end around the 5-for-5 rule until you can get it, unless you just make it 11 games. Just make the redshirt rule 11 games and just tell them, like, hey, Chief, you're not playing in this game right off the bat. And then you're playing in all the rest of them. I don't know. You could do that. But anyhow, eligibility battles are coming. Trinidad Chambliss, Joey Aguilar, and Parker Navarro are all having battles right now to get their 6th or 7th year of eligibility. We'll see if they happen, and we'll see what goes on. There's been a little bit of a push towards the other side of wrapping up some of these eligibility issues and sending guys on to the next event. Trinidad Chambliss is now suing in the state of Mississippi, so we'll see what happens there. But these are going to continue until that rule is changed. Let's go back to collective bargaining. That's really the only thing that's going to save all of this. And number 1, and this is going to be the number 1 headache for all college football fans, in the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC and the SEC, in the Mountain West, in the Pac-12. Heck, in some dead conferences as well. I'm sure Southwest Conference fans will have a headache of it. Old, dead Southwest Conference fans in their graves will just all of a sudden be like, oh, jeez, this is ridiculous. This guy in the Big Ten wants 24 teams, and then this guy in the SEC wants 16 teams, but they're kind of getting greedy because 12 is kind of perfect. Kind of works out pretty well. But that's going to go on, and I think we're going to have 12 for this year because they're about to miss the deadline, and the Big Ten will not move off of 24 teams because I think that Tony Petitti has got himself out over his skis with his media partners, and they're saying we would like more money, and he's like, well, we're going to have 2, maybe 3 national champions in a row. You'll get more money. And they're like, the SEC is still drubbing us when it comes to ratings, so what can you do for us? And he's like, how about more games? More. And Tony Petitti also wanted the big push behind the, hey, how do we ruin the best event in sports in the NCAA tournament? Just more, just more. Let's put 6 patties on this burger and quit being babies about it. That's his idea of fixing things, not streamlining, expanding. And Greg Sankey is Greg Sankey, but actually he's kind of on the side of good in this one. I actually think he'd be fine keeping it at 12, but 16 is what he sees politically is what he's going to have to do. But this will be a headache until it's not. Until then, get yourself a bottle of Excedrin at Costco or Sam's that's this big and take 1 a day and call me in the morning. That's going to do it for us. The carnival with a very struggling wheel starts now.
The wheel has been at least repaired. Arthroscopic surgery. We'll have the quizzes in just a second and the poll results, and then 365 Sports Overtime soon after that.
I wanted to say one thing on the playoff because I know we'll flesh it out more depending on what happens, but I saw, I think it was like Heartland or something went live while we were on. It's like, this is why the Big 12 wants the 16-team playoff. Yes. I just want to make that very clear. The ACC wants the 16-team playoff. The Big 12 wants the 16-team playoff. The SEC wants the 16-team playoff. The only person that wants the 24-team playoff is the Big 10 and maybe some other leagues that have not been talked to. But I saw that and I was like, here's why the Big 12 should root for. It's like, no, the Big 12 is very clearly they want the 16. So I just wanted to make that note. So.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Are you a Mac or a PC guy? Well, we have two Mac guys. Craig and I are both Mac guys, and I will never go back.
That's what they say. Once you go Mac, you never go back.
Yeah. Oh, my
God.
Oh, my God. It's true.
I think Windows is a horrendous piece of garbage.
No, stop
and
it.
I do. I think it's a horrendous piece of garbage. I hate everything about it. I hope that if one of the two companies has to go, that Microsoft goes first.
Well, I like Windows, and that's what I'm used to. So, damn it, that's what I want to use because I'm used to it, and I put a bucket load of things into my computer, and I am worried that if I go to a Mac, just the littlest change will be hard for me to get through.
Meanwhile, in let's say 10 years, I've had two laptops, one that it ran out of battery, 0 viruses. He's had 15 laptops with 237 viruses over that time period. But you stick with it. I'm also not like Paul, though, of like it's one or the other. I think we have too much of that in America now where it's just the one corporation speaks for all. So I'm fine with both of them, but I am a Mac guy. I had somebody that said, no, you need to try it. And I tried it and it's expensive, but I feel like I definitely get my worth out of the initial cost up front, and I get more than enough juice out of the product. So yeah, I'm a Mac guy all the way.
The viruses do occur, and as Wet Blanket said, are you looking at smut?
Good point, Wet Blanket. Maybe that's the biggest difference. Actually, it's not the Mac versus the PC. Maybe it's the subject matter.
Yeah. Can you not watch smut on your Mac?
I still don't get viruses.
No,
I couldn't say.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Good question, Andrew. Let's now go to the quizzes.
Before the current miracle season under Curt Cignetti, when was the last time Indiana won an outright conference title?
1967.
Okay.
You don't sound confident.
1967.
Yeah, we'll do that. You said it before we even got there.
Oh my God!
Wow!
I read an article where it was 67. They won the Big Ten championship.
Technically claims a Big Ten title. It wasn't outright. That season ended in a 3-way tie with Purdue and Minnesota at 6-1, with each beating out one of the others. By winning the Big Ten title game in December 25, the Hoosiers finally earned their first solo championship in 80 years. Since the 1945 team went 9-0-1.
Nice year. 9-0-1.
Yeah, so they still had problems with conferences back then. A 3-way tie in the Big Ten in 1967. So yeah, I don't know why that would have been that way.
You know why?
Because now it's the conference's size. Like that's the biggest issue.
But it's that way again. They each beat each other. Like all played each other and each beat each other.
Yeah.
And so like that where they traded it all off. But
the Tech OU Texas South Division.
It also shows you
yeah.
how reticent college football is to change things that are problems.
I mean, I guess it just wasn't. They weren't worried about a playoff back then, so they were like, "Hey, you're all shared division or conference winners."
And there weren't that many bowl games, so it wasn't.
It wasn't a big deal. But yeah, you were very confident in that from 1985 to
Whoa, Brandon.
So from 1985 to 1994, the Miami Hurricanes set an NCAA record for longest home win streak, still standing today. How many straight games did the U win at the Orange Bowl before losing?
I think the team that beat them might have been Washington. The Huskies in the early 90s.
Yeah, it was Washington.
But I don't know. 58 seems like that's a pretty good number. 42,
I think a lot of people have been in the 40s.
Well, Texas ended Nebraska's 47, I think, in 1998 with Ricky Williams. So that was one of the best. But I 42, I would think it's going to be 58.
All right. Well, we'll see if you're the big loser today.
I'm off to a terrible. Like I'm going into this overtime. There we go. I was right.
Himself.
Yeah. Well, how about that, man? And Washington beat them.
For nearly 9 years, the Canes didn't lose a single game at the Orange Bowl. The streak ran from October 12th, 1985 to September 24th, 1994, ending with the whammy and Miami lost to UW. Over those 58 games, Miami beat 30 ranked teams, 3 national titles. To put it in perspective, a player could go through their entire high school and college career without ever seeing Miami lose at home. So, all right,
and think about this. Nebraska has now lost 30 consecutive games against ranked teams. They won 30 consecutive games against ranked teams during that time. All right, just during that time. All right, which quarterback has the better game tonight? 82% saying Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, and Carson Beck at 18%.
It shows those stars don't mean much. They're both in the same game, though. But Fernando Mendoza is the Heisman Trophy winner, so not a shock that people would think this. Carson Beck has become like a bus driver plus a little bit for Miami. I don't want to give him that name just outright because he does do some really good things sometimes, but most of the time he just gets the ball to the athletes and gets out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say
smart.
Fernando Mendoza. Yeah, I mean, he's got great athletes around him. He's just doing his job. But I'd say Fernando Mendoza has the better game. Although, I mean, going up against that Miami line and that defense, I mean, I think he's going to have his work cut out for him. I think it's incredibly compelling matchups on both sides of the ball, and I hope we're in for a great one. It feels like we are, and we should be. It feels like we've got the 2 best teams that have earned their way to this point. When you look at Miami's path, and Indiana's obviously very impressive with multiple blowouts. So, man, this is the last chance for Carson Beck. I felt like the last time around he kind of redeemed himself maybe a little bit. Didn't do like crazy things, but made big clutch plays down the stretch to help them win. And that's the intangible he has. But yeah, if I had to pick who has the better game, I suppose I'd say Mendoza, but throw
it to
see.
Tony. Every time you can.
You know who could answer this question about the smut with Max and PCs is Carson Beck. He's dating an OnlyFans girl. So,
is he really?
Yeah.
He's had 2 games this year. He threw over 300 yards.
Of which in Miami, I'm sure that like you throw a rock and you can hit one.
He's like half his classmates if he went to class.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, she's pretty. She's pretty.
OnlyFans.
All right.
Okay, next, who walks away as the national champion?
Yeah.
Landslide for the Hoosiers. I do think a lot of people just don't want to see Miami do it, and they want to ride this Indiana story, which is fine. I'm going to enjoy the game. I picked Indiana for a reason, and I'm happy for Miami to be good again, but I definitely don't want them to win the thing.
I definitely think there's a chance for Miami to win this game. I don't think it's just so lopsided. Now, if Indiana comes out and buzzsaws them, then we are talking about comparing them to 2019 LSU and 95 Nebraska and 01 Miami for that matter, because they would have slaughtered 95% of their schedule, save for Penn State, basically. So, yeah, I'm picking Indiana in this game. I just think they're a slightly bit better, more complete team. And I like Mendoza versus Beck a little bit, but man, there's not a lot separating these two in my mind. But I'm going Indiana. That's the pick I originally make. I'm sticking with it. I feel good about it, but I'm definitely giving Miami better than a puncher's chance. That's for sure.
Still 7.5 is what it is as far as being the favorite. Let's see how the Miami defensive line early on and what kind of disruption they can give to Fernando Mendoza, who's pretty comfortable back in that pocket with his time. And yes, Miami's offensive line and Indiana's defense doesn't get enough credit. All right. Thank you, Andrew, for all of what you do with that, the quizzes, the polls, the wheel, and much more. Brandon Rowe is going to stay around for just a little bit longer. What we're going to do here is we'll be back in just a moment. I'll come back and do 365 Sports Overtime. We'll be back with the other main show tomorrow at 3. Right back, 365 Sports Overtime with a couple of calls and more.
Have you heard of the new IRA? The new IRA, Insured Retirement Advantage. is a solution for high-income individuals and business owners who want to grow and protect their wealth without locking up capital or taking unnecessary risks. If you're an asset manager or a licensed insurance agent looking to provide your clients with guaranteed tax-free retirement income and legacy protection, the new IRA Insured Retirement Advantage is an option you need to know more about and is only available exclusively from North Star Funding Partners. For more information, go to northstarfundingpartners.com and tell them 365 Sports sent you.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Cars priced right both day and night. At Richard Car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. At Richard Car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. At Richard Car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. At Richard Car in Waco, Texas.
Frazier added more numbers, more yards to those. Oh, they don't have them yet. Look at Tommy Frazier. How many tackles can one man break? Touchdown.
This is 365 Sports Overtime with David Smoak, and it's your time to be heard. Ask questions, voice an opinion. A few extra minutes with Smokey It right now.
Down the middle, Mendoza's right on the mark for a touchdown. Omar Cooper Jr.
365 Sports Overtime is sponsored by
Richard Car Motors, QC Kinetics, Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, and North Star Funding Partners.
Now here's David Smoak.
All right, here we go on 365 Sports Overtime. I could easily just end the show with everybody else and pack up and leave. But I've been wanting to do this, and some of you have reached out to me about being more, I guess you could say, more involved in taking either audio calls, text, whatever. We do that during the show. But I love the relationship with the audience. And so here we are. And here's a couple of things of what we're going to do. First of all, thanks to Brandon Rowe for staying a little extra. We will one day go 15 minutes or go 30 minutes or maybe 45 minutes. And today we're going to take you for the next few minutes and then let you just kind of disconnect and get ready for the kickoff between Indiana and also Miami. Here's one thing we want to do, and I've always wanted to do this, and I don't like the fact we don't do this enough, but doing live calls, even though in some podcasts that's the way it can be, it can turn into a little bit of a where the caller wants to be the show. And, hey, you are the show. You're the audience. You're the customer. I love that. I have always, from the time I started talk radio in 1990, always enjoyed feedback from the audience. But the podcast business has changed quite a bit. I will still, and I do want to hear from you. And at some point, if this thing is successful, this extended show, we'll find a way to make sure there's an actual number. You call it, and we get you on the air with all the logistics in between. So here is one way. 2 different calls we'll have tonight on this opening show. It is what you can do. A couple of different things. Until we have a live number, which, again, I'm not sure we'll go there. Here's how you can be a part of the show. You asking a question. Your voice is heard. Is take your cell phone. I don't care if it's what is it? iPhone, branded, and Samsung, whatever, Verizon, whatever it might be. Take your cell phone. Go to the app where you can record audio. For example, here's my screen. You go to record audio, go to that, and then you turn around, and then here's what I pop up. It is all of the audio, I guess you could say, clips or interviews I've done over the years, including some of these emotionally and just personally are some calls I get and had conversations with my late brother, Robert, when we would sit around and talk when I'd see him in Florida. I still have some of those. And then there's others where I've interviewed players or coaches at a game or a press conference or wherever, and then I still have some of those. I'll delete those along the way. So go to your recording, your video, your audio recording, and you push, for example, the red button. It starts to record. See here at the bottom? It starts recording, and it can take whatever you want to ask. Say, hey, this is Brandon from Waco. Smokey, I'd like to ask you about this. Or this is Andrew from Hawkins or from Oklahoma City or whoever it is. You record the question. When you call, say your name, where you're from, want to hear that. And if you don't want to say your real name, then maybe you have a screen name that you use in the chat room, which everybody knows you as Bracket Cat or whoever else. And then ask a question and or give an opinion. And or we then take it, you send it to me in an email, and we're going to have a graphic up. I'm going to put it up in the chat, by the way. Hold on just a second. Let's see here. This is my email. Very simple. Smokey HSFB, which is for high school football, at gmail.com. Smokey HSFB at gmail.com. Record your audio clip. And by the way, some of you, I know you're going to want to go a long time. We will not use it. It doesn't mean you're not saying something good, but, it could be 15, 20 seconds, maybe 35 or 40 seconds. But it's not so much about you. It's about a good question, a good comment, a good opinion, and we share it with the audience. We put it on the air. So you hit the audio, record yourself, Frank from Buzzard, Oklahoma, and then say, hey, I'd like to know about this, and this. It could be something you agree with or you don't agree with, something you want to hear from me or you want to hear that let everyone know how you feel. I want to do this. I want this to work. It either does or it doesn't, and then we decide what we do in the future. We have some great people who are sponsoring this segment, and we do appreciate them as well. You heard them from the voice of Jim Cutler from Cutler Voiceover, Inc., out of Old Brickville, New York. He's the guy that does a lot of stuff for us. Let's see here. Here's one. Kyle Visser, being a smartass, but I kind of like it. Smokey, was Nolan Ryan a righty or a lefty? I'll hang up and listen. He was a righty, and he could throw 100 miles an hour, and he was the all-time strikeout king in Major League Baseball history. Let's see. Fight on, Natty, Smokey, what is it going to be, a cold beer or a scotch? I don't drink scotch. I am not a big hard liquor type drinker. If I drink it, back when I was younger, I did some crazy tequila shots and what was it called? Oh my goodness, what was that? Russian Quaalude. Not drugs, but it might as well have been putting it down my throat. But I'm a Crown Royal Reserve most of the time, and then I'll have some Diet Coke. I don't have more liquor than I have the Diet Coke. I never have. And so scotch, you got to sip on scotch, right? I'm not a sipper. I drink a Diet Coke. If I drink water, if in the morning I have amino energy and just a little tiny 3 grams or 5 grams of creatine that I shake it up in a water bottle. I don't drink slowly. I drink quickly. So that's why I don't do scotch. I don't really like that taste, although I'm sure I could get used to it. But I like Crown Royal Reserve, and then also a little bit of Diet Coke as well. So let's see. We got a couple of others. Bulls fan 2. This is Bulls fan 2K7 from Tampa, and UCF sucks. Well, that was nice. Appreciate you saying that. Let me see here. From Firefighter. We champion Signetti and JMU players at IU, and Morris in 19 interceptions. 19 nose tackles to Oklahoma State. And then narrative is to denigrate G5 schools. Is that fair? No. Here's the thing. Listen, I understand there's this level of FBS. And yes, some of the bigger schools, and what you hear, what is that term? It is, my goodness, it's about the highest ranked players and the level of how many you have on Georgia compared to what you might have on Missouri, what you might have on Colorado. I forgot that term. But G5 teams may not be able to hang They do pull upsets. We've seen it happen, but week in and week out probably would be tough. And yet, let's just say one of them joined a conference. If they do, they start getting that money. If they do, they start getting a lot of that money. And if they do, then they also start to understand, well, this is where we need to be. It might take a while to compete straight up. It may never happen. But hell, we see teams in the FBS as far as the Power 4 schools, so to speak. What was Oklahoma State last year or 2 years ago? What was Colorado this year? What was Baylor in, 2020? They were 2-7 and 3-9 and 24. 2 years after they were 12-2. Some big boy schools, whether they're the bigger boy schools or FBS schools, they seem to get smacked around quite a bit. It happens. So, but the FBS schools do raid those G5 rosters, don't they? Don't they? Trinidad Chambliss will be a poster boy of the transfer portal, of being at Ferris State, Division II, won a national title, best team in the country, won it again this year. And yet Ole Miss, with all the weapons they have, with Austin Simmons is going to be their quarterback, and they have Trinidad Chambliss from where? Ferris State. He was spectacular. I have to tell you, I do remember watching Ferris State national championship game last year. I didn't know how good Trinidad Chambliss would be. I love him. I hope he gets another year, although, again, that's a legal issue. But, yeah, the group of five, right? Spit on him. Step on him. Blank on him. But, hey, let's go get part of their roster. Again, that might be 3 players, 5 players, 12 players or more. North Dakota State is an FCS school, and they can beat probably what? I bet when they call, we've even asked their head coach, when North Dakota State's AD or the football coach calls a Power 5 school, they don't answer if they have the name in the phone. Oh, damn, that's Oklahoma. That's North Dakota State. Don't answer it because they're really good. Now, could they hold up week in and week out? Who knows? It took BYU, remember, a full year in the Big 12 to kind of get an idea, and they're pretty good. But when they joined the Big 12, it wasn't immediate. Look what happened to Utah. Their first year in the Big 12, remember, Utah fans they did not want to have anything. They did not want to be a part of the Big 12, not because they were afraid of the conference, but because they're like, oh, damn, man, we're Utah, we're Pac-12, boo, look at them, they stink. Do they use deodorant in the Big 12? And then that first year, yes, they had injury issues at quarterback over and over and over again, but they got humbled a little bit, and they had a nice bounce-back season this year. From a retired stockbroker, did the chat get you a Valentine's date at the Baylor Club today? No, I don't need that. Let's see. From Kyle Visser, this is a great idea, Smokey. This is long overdue. Let's see here. Super blue chip ratio. That's it. Wet blanket. Paxton, thank you for bringing that up. That like Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, Bama, LSU, Texas, A&M, whoever, they have that blue chip ratio. And that does seem to have, there's a trend there. The more you have of them, the better you're going to be. But that doesn't always work out. But that does help. It just makes sense. It makes sense that if you have some of the best in the business coming out of high school, if you get enough of them, even if 2 or 3 of your 5 stars, if you get 1 or 2 or 3 5-star, let's say one doesn't work out, you have 2 that did. Some schools never get 5-star players. DJ Lagway, who just committed and signed with Baylor, is the highest ranked player to ever sign with Baylor in any way. Man, I've been nursing on this cough for, about a month? And it just kind of comes and goes. But Jarrett Stidham, who's going to start for the Denver Broncos this week in the championship game from Stephenville High School, was one of the highest. May have been, I know that K.D. Cannon, the wide receiver from Mount Pleasant High School, was fantastic with Baylor. Robbie Rhodes, wide receiver, was fantastic for Baylor for just a little bit. And eventually he couldn't stay off the coochie. I should explain that. Like, he couldn't stop. He couldn't pass drug tests. Really good player. Incredible. Art Briles once said this about Robbie Rhodes when they signed him on National Signing Day. We're doing a show at the Baylor Indoor, and Art was on the show. And I don't know who it was who asked him the question, how long how soon before Robbie Rhodes makes an impact on your program? Now, again, he's an incoming freshman, and he said as soon as he parks his car on campus. He was that good, but it didn't work out for him because of other distractions that he had. All right, now remember the audio. It will not always be easy initially for us to, like, for example, you get on your phone right now and say, man, this show sucks. Okay, we'll play that one too. Or this is a great idea. We can't wait to be more involved with it. And you have to record it in your phone and then email it to what I have in the chat room. And what we need to do, Brandon and Andrew, it may not be a bad idea to make it really simple, like 365sportsovertime@gmail.com. In fact, I think that's something that we talked about earlier today during the meeting. So there we are with that. Let's see. Canthony 37. What is your I have a dream speech for college football? My God, what a great question. Hey, right outside our front door, across the street here on MLK, which is the name of the street, MLK, Elm Avenue goes this way, right to behind this wall. Right across the street is the Martin Luther King Memorial area, right off the Brazos River, and also MLK, which is the street we're on. So, Canthony, I don't know if I can do speeches. Obviously, I can't do a speech like some of the great orators in our history, in our history. See, there's that JUCO that just jumped into me. My dream is, my God, would you please come up with rules that cannot be legally challenged? Would you please come up with a playoff system, then let the damn thing go for 4 to 6 years before you get greedy and want more? Can you please, my God, let players transfer, but can you put some sort of, and I used this back when NIL and transfer portal started and I was called a racist. Would you put some guardrails on it, damn it? Would you please put some guardrails on the rules and make sure that you sit in a room and go, well, get attorneys to come in the meeting with you. Get a law firm. Get 10 of them. Well, that may not hold up. Okay, well, we can't do that. Then what can we do? Well, that might. I love college football. I love it. And don't let me get off track, Brandon, but I love college football. But all of this, every day something legally is going on. Trinidad Chambliss wants a 6th year. The Big Ten and the SEC want to lay their dongs on a table and go, who's this longer? No, we get to go 16. No, we want 24. Stop the egomaniac trip. I understand you want more and you want more money, but eventually, and I know if you're a billionaire, why not be multi-billionaire, right? If you make $50,000 a year, man, $75,000 is pretty good. So I just wish we would have more stories about the damn game, about the sport, and less stories about the legal challenges when it comes to whether it's the college football playoff where they meet. What the hell are they doing in those meetings? What are they doing in those meetings that they still can't get something done? And then they have the transfer portal. It's a great idea. It was from the beginning was dead man walking. That you could just transfer anytime you want. One of the arguments was, well, coaches can leave anytime they want. Yeah, but coaches have to still do a buyout. Now we're starting to see some players who want to leave, and some of them can. For example, Darian Mensah, right, from Duke to Miami, and they'll pay the buyout. Or however they work that out. But then Damon Williams at Washington, yeah, I want to go somewhere else, like maybe LSU or whoever it was. And then, whoa, Darren Heitner, his attorney, got involved and said, Damon, you might make $5 million at LSU, but you're going to owe $4 million of that back to Washington. Oh, okay. Everything's legally challenged. I don't blame those who are attorneys, lawyers, because that's their job, to fight for their client. But it seems like nothing can get done. It's like trying to drive even the best Jeep or Gator or four-wheel drive or a tank through the muddiest, nastiest, boggy creek, and you can't go anywhere because it's always stuck in something. I just hate the legal issues. So I don't know if I answered your question, Canthony, or not, but I just wish we could, in the transfer portal, okay, that means that's it. Well, what about my coach left? Okay, well, there's an addendum. That could be an exception. But what if he doesn't? Then you're stuck, buddy. So make up your freaking mind when you want to go to Vanderbilt or you want to go to Ohio State, you want to go to USC, you want to go whoever it is. This is, by the way, this is a decision where there are consequences. There are consequences, and we hope it works out for you. But if it doesn't, remember, if you want to leave again, well, you've already used that one up. It's like in the NFL, teams get 3 timeouts in each half. They don't get 4. Now they can ask for a replay or a review to change a call, and they can get one back. But you can't take 3 timeouts and there's 3 minutes left in the game and you're down by 5 and you want to stop the clock. You just can't take a 4th timeout. There are rules and consequences for taking the first 3. That's what I wish. That is what I wish we would do. Let me see here. Chris Bartles, biggest thing in the depth of P4 versus G5. Yeah, they got bigger rosters. They got more of them. And yeah, that doesn't mean, though, that James Madison wouldn't beat like 30 of the Power 4 schools if they played. I don't know. There's always the exception, but they do that week in and week out. I don't know. Maybe James Madison would have to get used to that before they could. Like I go back and use the example, Kalani Sitake at BYU brought this up, that you have to kind of get used to the physicality or the speed or both. Brandon, will you play the call from Kim? Let me know if you can. Let's play that. Here's a quick call from Kim.
Hey, Smoak, this is Kim in Arizona. I'm wondering what your thoughts are in regard to the Big Ten and the SEC's desire to break away from the Power 4 and become the Power 2. And if so, what kind of impact will that have on the ACC and Big 12?
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, Kim. Kim out of the Phoenix, Arizona area. I hear about the breakaway, and I think Kim and Paxton talk about it in the chat room all the time. I hear it. I know it's out there. I know that that's a very good possibility. I hope that's not the case because and this is not, I'm an old man, yes, but not get off my lawn. I hope that's not the case. Here's what I think happens. If the Big Ten and the SEC, what is that, 16 teams and then 18 or whatever it is, 34 teams out of 131 FBS. The G5s are done. I mean, they're out of it. And then what does ACC or what does the Big 12 do? If they can't compete in the Super Conference, there's only one thing they can do. Either be really, really damn lucky and set up to join them, and there won't be many, because if they want to split off with their 2 conferences, they don't want to bring baggage along the way. But I think there'll be a few teams that survive. I don't know exactly who those would be. Yeah, you could look at the teams now that have more money than ever before and maybe have some success. But, man, those 2 conferences, look at most of the teams out of everywhere else is like, nah. But, yeah, there's some teams that should be brought with them, that should be able to go with them. But I do think that would leave several teams in the ACC, no matter who you think it might be, one way or the other, and the Big 12 that would like, whoa, we need to find somewhere else to play. You think if there's ever a Super League and they separate, let's say it's 48 teams or whatever, you think that the teams left behind are going to be able to play them in non-conference? Will there even be a non-conference? I don't know the answer, but it's a really good question. But I do think that if they break away, the SEC, the ACC and the Big 12 will have one hell of a job to try to stick together. And I think you'd see them in some ways kind of shatter. Still play football, still win a national title, but it wouldn't be what just right here where we are in Waco, they have that hundreds of millions of dollars football stadium, hundreds of millions of dollars of Foster Pavilion where they play basketball. All of the facilities are better now than ever before, and they're even renovating some of those that were pretty good. You got to wonder, did you do all that to be not a part of it? No. So how do you get to be a part of it? You better make great decisions now and in the last few years. Here's one more. This is from Bracket Cat just outside of Wichita, Kansas.
This is the old Barn Cat.
Oh, Barn Cat.
So we got a 12-team playoff this year, but the Big Ten wants 24. I'm not in favor of 24. I think 16 would work. All 4 conferences get in, no buys, all first and second round games at home. And that's what I think. What do you think? Give Smoak a message. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, old barn cat. Appreciate it. Out of Wichita, Kansas, I think 24 is freaking insane. The Big Ten commissioner to me came in with his different ideas. Nothing wrong with that. Brett Yormark had different ideas. Nothing wrong with that. But 24? It is, what is today? We're not going to stay on much longer this first show because I want to get home and watch the championship game. I know you want to watch it. It is January 19th. And there's 12 teams in the playoff. So double it. And when are they going to play the championship game? Are they going to play? Why would you want to play anything else against the NFL when you can't beat them? It's January 19th, and you want to add, if 12 more teams are in the playoff, you better start playing games the first week in August, which means, oh, by the way, take spring drills, get rid of them, have a mini camp or like NFL-type training camp in early summer, play games starting in August. You better play every weekend, by the way, other than me, an off week or bye week, whatever you want to call it. By the way, I don't like using bye week with an off week because a bye week means you advance. That's what a tournament. You have a bye, you advance. Whatever it is, you better start playing in early August, baby, because I don't know when are you going to finish the year? You already have screwed yourself over by losing a lot of the weekends in December to the NFL. And oh, by the way, the NFL goes, we don't give a damn about your feelings. We care about money and audience, and we have all of it, and we're not giving any of it back. All right, so there we are with Kim, and thank you as well to Old Barn Cat. Let me read a couple more chat room. Hope you guys like this. My email, I'm going to put it up again. If you have suggestions, let's see, smokyhsfb@gmail.com. That's the email if you want to email me about the segment. That's the email if you want to record a video clip, audio clip, and send me a question or an option, opinion, or whatever it might be, and we'll have fun with this. Someone asked me earlier, I'll get to this one. Smokey, are you really a 3 handicap? Wait, whoa. Somebody went in there. Kim, did Nebraska really win multiple national championships, or did I have a nightmare? They won 5. It has been a nightmare because the last one was in 97, and those teams in the 90s were freaking. We had Kelvin Harris, who joined us, the Miami offensive lineman, was 56-4 over 5 years at Miami. 3 national titles. Do you know in the 93 through 90, 93, 94, 95, 96, 93 through 97 Nebraska, 93, 4, 5, 6, 93 through 94 Nebraska was 60-3 and 3 national titles. Pretty salty. And they had a couple of great teams even after Osborne left with Frank Solich. One team was 12-1, but lost to Texas like they always do. And another team was, I believe, they got their ass kicked by Miami with the best team maybe ever in 2001, so it doesn't matter. Let me see. Somebody asked about my handicap. My golf handicap right now is a 6. It got as low as 2.9 back earlier in the summer. I don't play much at all during the fall and winter. I'd like to, but the weather's just kind of always screwy. So it's a 6. The lowest it's ever been was what it was back in the summer when it was a 2.9. And I'm on, what is that app? Gin? Ghin? I don't know what the hell they call it. One more question. We'll get to it here. Make the Big Ten's non-conference games be in the South in early August. That wouldn't be bad, but why would they have to be the ones that travel? Why do they have to give up where they live to play? And then finally, Paxton, should a player be kicked out for targeting? No. Hell no. Okay, great question to close it out. Brandon, thanks for your time. We're about to wrap this up. Every night after 365 Sports with Paul and Craig, about 5:30, 5:35, we close it out. We walk out the door. And we're going to do this, I think, I don't know how many times we do this. I don't know. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I don't know. But I hope you've enjoyed it, at least for today. I've enjoyed it and appreciate all the of you who have hung around. Targeting, here's how I fix it. Targeting, you get a targeting call, it's a 15-yard penalty. You get 2 in one game, you're ejected. You are not suspended for the next week. But what you do is you have, like I think they even have in the NBA, which I don't watch the NBA. It bores me out of my mind and a lot of things about them. But you have a counter. Let's say you get your third targeting call in week 5. Then maybe there's a suspension for a half. But not every damn time there's targeting. The players are bigger, better, faster, and stronger. The game is played at a speed we can't even comprehend unless you've played it. And a difference between that, this, or, I mean, come on. These two things going 150, 60 miles an hour, not 150. You think you can separate? You can teach people to not lower their head. You can teach them not to lower the crown or target with the crown of the helmet. The game is played at such a speed we can't. There's no way. People are getting better about not doing it, so maybe that's working. But, I mean, I see like the glance. I saw a play in the Texas game. This isn't in that game against Arizona State, but I saw a game in the Texas. I saw straight head on. No targeting. Okay, good. I don't like him being ejected. And I don't like him being suspended for the next game if it's in the second half. But it's such an incredibly high speed. To me, it's like separating atoms. And I want to see that. First targeting, 15-yard penalty. 2 in one game, you're rejected. 3 or 4 in a matter of time, maybe there's a half suspension or a game, but not for one. No, I understand the safety of the game. I also understand you're going to play the game as hard as hell to just I think you might end up with more guys getting injured because they try to protect themselves from targeting, and maybe that creates even more of an issue. They get hurt. So, and how many times have you seen an offensive player get a targeting call? I mean, 3 times in my lifetime. Brandon Roll, let's wrap it up, man. Thank you very much. I know you want to get home to the missus. I hope you've enjoyed this. I want to do this. I want to try to commit to this week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll see how it goes. SmokeyHSFB@gmail.com. Alan Makeda, I'm on board with that, Smokey. Too many collisions, not much tackling. NBA is unwatchable. If you're not trading paint on the field, you're not playing football from Fight On. Thank you. 365 Sports Overtime. Good night. We'll be back tomorrow at 3.